Hello and welcome to the monthly movie marathon, where we marathon movies monthly. It's only taken me a whole goddamn year, but I got the title and tagline of our show correct. And you know what? No better time to actually get it correct than the recap of the entire year.
Yeah.
Because all roads lead to the 2023 recap of the monthly movie marathon.
Very nice.
And who is part of the monthly movie marathon, you may be asking? Well, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see our faces. And if you're listening on your preferred podcasting platform, you can hear our voices. And that's me, Nick Labarro, critic for NovaStream, interviewer for NovaStream, and all-round movie lover. Sometimes together, sometimes apart. You just have to buy me dinner to find out. Who are you? Why are you sitting next to me?
Wow. At this point, I don't know why.
I'm scared. Please call for help.
But my name is Peter Gray.
Peter Gray.
I am a certified Rotten Tomatoes movie man.
You are the certified Rotten Tomatoes movie man
We'll take it.
of the monthly movie
Of the
marathon.
monthly movie marathon. And I am the head film critic for the AU Review.
Sometimes together, sometimes separate.
Buy me dinner and find out. And yes, I do reviews and interviews. Let's just say interviews up the wazoo this
Let's
year.
just say December has
This year has been great, but December and then I guess technically January, because we've done January things.
we have done. There is a film coming out in January that we
but
cannot
yeah,
talk about.
Not talk about.
Well, no, actually, we can say we've done interviews.
We can say we've done interviews
for Night Swim, but we can't tell you about the movie. But
yeah.
they were fun interviews.
Yes,
they were great interviews.
We spoke to writer Ryan Turek,
Producer Ryan Turek.
writer director Bryce McGuire,
Producer Ryan Turek, and star Wyatt Russell.
and I spoke to Wyatt Russell and Kerry Condon.
That is true. Who looked like
Oh my
they were a
god,
blast.
they were just. There was one question that that was like the image that I put up of them just
Yes,
like
laughing, yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, these two like
Just delightful.
they just clearly look like they just like
just
each other and they just had a good time filming.
delightful.
Yeah, so
that was fun.
That'll be out in the early days of January.
And then we also just did interviews with Joe Davidson, the Australian star of hit rom-com, because we're predicting it.
I think it's going to be a hit. I think so. I think
it's going to do well because it's funny as fuck. Anyone but you.
And you probably know about the film because all anyone could talk about was the fact that Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney, who were filming in Sydney, Australia. I always feel like I need to preface that it's Australia because of
Sydney
traffic.
and Sydney, right? Yeah.
They've got chemistry.
They know what they're doing.
And they generate plenty of heat in the movie. But we'll just
Both
say
on and off the screen.
But we'll just say Joe Davidson.
Oh God, he's so good, man.
Gives them a good run for money in terms of like you're at a movie where you've got Glenn Powell, who's arguably one of the sexiest men alive.
And you've got Sydney Sweeney, who not arguably is probably the sexiest woman alive right now.
And then you have someone like Joe Davidson, who not many people will know about.
Well, I mean, if we look back and I spoke about this in an interview with him, he's just done a second feature film earlier this year called Sons of Summer. He did a 60 episode-ish stint on Neighbours. He's an up-and-comer. He
played Edward Scissorhands and Fred Jones from Scooby-Doo at Movie
World. And he's in this film as just a larrikin Aussie surfer guy.
Like lean. So Australian audiences will probably be like, oh, they're putting it a bit on thick. But
I did ask about that actually. But go to the interview to find out.
It is also the way that some Australians speak, but we're also thinking international audiences.
Yes,
they need a certain view of what an Australian sounds
and
like.
He brings that
and
view.
he brings it. And he barely wears any clothes.
And
so
I said
that was
in the
great.
interview, literally the two biggest laughs in our screening were scenes involving him.
Yes.
Scene.
One would be, there's one scene we're just referring to as that scene.
You'll
you'll
know.
know.
But I thought the full Titanic line was hilarious, which I ended up finding out was in one of the trailers.
Yes,
but
yeah.
That was funny as well. Like they're going full Titanic.
And
I just
and
myself laughing.
and
He's
in
great.
some ways he's the missing Hemsworth.
Bitch Hemsworth.
Bitch Hemsworth.
As they call him in the film.
So great. But yes, we think that film's going to do pretty decent numbers.
Amazing rom-com, really a lot of fun.
And like a good throwback to the way that rom-coms were in the 90s and early 2000s.
Do you know what the biggest throwback element of it is? Is the end credits.
Yes.
Loved the end credits.
Oh, and if you let's just say Natasha Bedingfield's Unwritten will
be stuck in
your head.
Similar to how Sophie Ellis Baxter's Murder on the Dance Floor was stuck in my head.
Little throwback regarding Will Gluck. Remember how in Easy A, Pocket Full of Sunshine by Natasha Bedingfield. So clearly there's something there.
He's just he loves Natasha Bedingfield.
It's a great. It was so much funnier than I think we were both expecting it to be.
Definitely both expecting. Definitely a little raw. Like I know it was pitched as like an R-rated comedy, but it's definitely got some raunch to it.
So, like this, I was like, colourful language.
Very colourful. Yeah. Very colourful language. Yeah. But it's just fun. It's funny. It's charming. It's sweet. The romance worked as well. I was swept up by the ending.
Sydney, Australia looks incredible.
Really great. But
Sydney Sweeney looks incredible.
Full circle on it. Joe Davidson. Great interview. Great guy.
And you know what? Let's hope that this is like the start of big things for him.
I hope so,
because he bloody deserves it.
I hope so.
He's a good guy.
We also did interviews for Illumination's Migration, Kamal Nanjiani and Elizabeth Banks. This has been a big month. Holy shit.
And we spoke to...
This is all post-Wonga.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like literally the last 2 weeks.
Literally, yeah.
And then we spoke to
Mike
Mitchell and Rebecca Huntley, the director and producer of Kung Fu Panda 4.
Because that trailer came out.
And that was just for the trailer.
I know.
So we have our little fingers crossed for...
But they were fantastic.
They're
I mean, I think one of the most fun things we can talk about what we've done this year in regards to DreamWorks releases and talking to the people behind those films. They are very passionate about what they do.
Yeah.
And they're incredibly exciting to talk to about their projects.
We've always found that talking to the directors or producers of animated films tends to be some of the best conversations. Absolutely. Just because these people are like, they dedicate years to this film, and they're just excited just to see people like excited for it. So yeah.
So, but I mean, like that's just December.
Yeah.
Why don't we look back at the entire year? Because not just interviews, not just reviews, but we've had a whole fucking podcast for a year.
We have indeed.
For our almost third year for both of us.
Wow, yeah.
So I started the podcast in March 2021.
Yes.
With Mortal Kombat, and now here we are in December 2023. So you've been doing it for over 2 years now.
Yes, because initially I was...
You were left to the side.
I was left to the side. But I was like, when Nick was like, hey...
The natural evolution.
I think I want you. And I was like, I knew this was coming.
This was our Everyone But You moment, right? That's what that was. It was our rom-com moment.
I was like, oh, meet cute.
It was a little meet cute over a podcast.
Yeah.
But look at us now, like almost over 2 years together. We're at 30, almost 40 episodes of the show.
Yeah.
Because we do it monthly, which for our schedules is a necessity.
Yeah.
The amount of things, time and effort we put into the show.
I will reveal it at the end.
Yes.
But we're just going to add more to the plate.
Why not? So that's a fun little teaser. Stick around to find out what's coming in 2024.
I'm very excited for
I'm excited for this one. I think it's a fantastic idea. Yeah. But let's not look to the future, Justin.
No.
Because we have a past.
We do have
to reminisce on.
Yeah.
And as with our last year's recap, wow. If there's one thing I haven't got better at over the years, it's talking in English or in general. It is a very similar structure. We'll be talking about...
Wait, you speak general? Yeah, that was awful.
That was bad.
I swear we're really good writers and interviewers. Like this is not. I was like, read our stuff, watch our stuff. I swear to you, we have. I think this is because we have like professional mode, and then we have
podcast.
We have whatever this is,
whatever this podcast mode is. But similar to last year, we'll be looking at the monthly movie marathon year that was in 2023. We have your listener questions that you put in the last week, which I think we've got about 20 odd of those.
Very nice.
So thank you all for listening and supporting the show and asking us questions.
Yeah.
And then we'll be taking a look at 2023 in cinema. What were some of our highlights? What were some of the lowlights? What surprised us? What disappointed us? Everything and anything is on the cards. So without further ado, Mr. Peter Gray, certified Rotten Tomatoes critic man.
Yes, Mr. Labaro, Novastream Network interview and reviewer.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
It's nice to have a little title next to my name. Let's start off with something positive and nice.
All right.
In the year of 2023 for the monthly movie marathon, we watched a shitload of movies. In fact, I had a list of them up.
You did have a list.
And I put it away for a second. But we watched approximately, as I fill time while I click around, we watched exactly 35 films this year.
Yeah, so roughly like 3 a month.
Roughly 3 a month.
Yeah.
Out of all the films we watched, Pedro, what was your favorite film that you rewatched?
That I rewatched
for this show this year.
Favorite rewatch. Can you just put the list up just so I can?
Absolutely.
Just so I can, because there's something that's immediately coming to mind.
I think,
but I just want to make sure it's where I'm. Oh my god! There's actually we actually watched a lot of really good shit.
Watched a lot of good shit.
Because
I'll say this while you're thinking.
Yeah.
This was actually a banger year.
It was, looking at it.
I'm just like, because I wrote down, did my little sneaky.
I mean, like we did
John Wick franchise. We did
franchise.
Creed. We did Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was an absolute highlight of a rewatch.
Sound of Music.
Sound of Music. Christopher Nolan films, like our favorite Nolan films. Pardon me. So,
fuck.
There's a lot of good stuff we watched. I'm happy to go first if you want me to go
Yeah,
first.
please do.
So, we watched a lot of some of my like favorite movies this year. And movies that led up to sequels or next chapters in those franchises that actually were fucking good too. So we've eaten well this year. But my favorite rewatch, and I think my favorite movie out of everything we watched this year, was Christopher Nolan's Memento. I love that film. I think that movie's fantastic. And that was tough for me to pick. So I love the Creed films. I love the John Wick films a lot. But Memento for me, I was excited to revisit it, but I also think talking about it out loud, but like really breaking it down on the show with you, I was like, oh my god, my appreciation for the film like increased even more. So my favorite rewatch was Memento, without a doubt.
I'm because it was the first film I thought of.
Yes,
that is where I'm going.
That's where.
But I'm the same with you. Like I'm same with you. Like the Creed films.
Yeah.
The John Wick films.
So good.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. They're so good. But you know what? Because it was the first, and it was funny because it's for the episode where we chose quite interesting movies to watch for it.
Okay.
So I am going to say Sound of Music.
Sound of Music, yep. Which is a fantastic film.
It's a fantastic film. Like, rewatching that movie, I was like, this is fucking beautiful.
As a reminder, we did watch that for our Nun 2
Yeah, that's why I was thinking, because I was like, Sound of Music, and like Sister Act. Sister Act was a great little rewatch. That was fun just to rewatch those movies for the Nun.
You know what?
Because I was
connected it well.
We did connect it well because I was like, I'm not sitting through all of these shitty Conjuring movies. Like, Conjuring movies are good, but the offshoots.
But also, I will say, Nun 2 was good.
Nun 2, we had some fun with Nun 2.
I actually enjoyed the Nun 2. Yeah. So, Sound of Music.
So I'm going to go with Sound of Music. And I also think because that's taken me back to like my childhood when I would watch that movie as well. So, there's nostalgia.
The N-word, it's popping up. Well, I shouldn't have said that. Oh my God. I meant nostalgia, for fuck's sake. Anyway, speaking of worst things you could have done.
Yeah.
What was the worst rewatch or just worst watch in general this year? Because I think I'd watched most of these movies before, but what was something you're like, fuck, I can't believe we had to watch that?
For the, you know what? I think it's going to be right back at the fucking Dead Silence.
Peter Gray, it's so funny you say that because that's my pick as well.
Yeah.
The first movie we watched and talked about for the show back in our Mithrigan episode.
Shit, that was
January.
January,
Mithrigan and James Bond films.
I'm so glad that rewatch ended on Malignant.
So am I.
Because Malignant's a banger of a movie.
Because we roller coasted that episode because we had fucking Dead Silence, then we had Insidious. Then we had Insidious 2, and then we had Malignant.
Yeah.
So it was all right. But Dead Silence was trash.
It was so bad. Movie. And it's like, it had a good, there's a good idea. There's a cool premise there. And
that was tough.
It was tough.
That was a little toughy to get
But you know what? I'm glad we could sit through that not sit through it together.
We had to watch it separately, but we got to almost, this show is kind of like a therapy session in some ways.
Was that streaming on something? Or did we
have it on Stan or something?
Yeah, okay, because I was like, I fucking hope I didn't pay for that.
No, I don't think we did. I think it was streaming on Stan.
Yeah.
But this show is kind of like a therapy session in some ways when it comes to those sorts of movies, right? Like that's the whole the whole idea. So, but yeah, that was shit. That was not great. Now, was there a favorite film that was a first time watch for you?
First time watch. Did I?
I know there's definitely one that was a first time watch. Had I not?
It was. Was that? Oh, and you know what? That's the only one.
Oh, that was a first time watch.
Actually, yes, it was.
Technically, that was.
So you know what? If it's going out of those two,
okay, we'll say what the two are.
So the only two movies that I hadn't seen, for this whole rewatch was Sharknado, which we did for our Meg 2 episode,
our motherfucking sharks episode.
Oh fuck yeah! You were so thrown by when I said that.
It was great. It was so good.
And After Everything, which we
After Ever Happy.
After Ever Happy.
I mean, there's like fucking 5 of them now.
After Ever Happy for the After Everything episode.
Podcast, yeah, with Rhiannon and George.
So if it's gonna,
that's a toughie.
You know what? I think.
What did you enjoy watching the most?
This is one of those things where I was like, I think I enjoyed watching Sharknado more just because it's so fucking
terrible.
stupid.
It's terrible.
And you can have a lot more fun with just the nonsense of that movie. So I'm going to say, that's so weird. My favorite first time was Sharknado. But yeah, because it's the only thing I hadn't seen. I hadn't seen.
There we go.
Yeah.
I had not as many
I feel like
as last year.
Yeah, but I feel like you hadn't seen more than me.
There's only 2 that I hadn't seen.
Right.
That was Deep Blue Sea and Army of Darkness.
Right.
Everything else I had seen.
Yeah.
So my favorite rewatch was also from the Shark episode, Deep Blue Sea.
Yes.
My favorite first time watch, sorry. I fucking love
Deep Blue Sea is a great movie.
It was fun. And I think Army of Darkness is fun, but I remember going back to the episode, that was the
lesser of the Evil Dead.
Yeah, the lesser of the Evil Dead films. Despite being fun, Deep Blue Sea to me was just like, that is the epitome of like early 2000s blockbuster. Yeah. Like I had a lot of fun with that movie.
It knows exactly what it's doing.
And it was a fun episode.
And it leans into it. Oh yeah.
So that was pretty great. And speaking of fun episodes.
Yeah.
What was your favorite episode to record?
Favorite episode to record? Ooh. Wow.
We had a lot.
We had
about
12
or 13 maybe, yeah.
Because I did like the Evil Dead episode because we had our friend Josh with us.
We had our friend Josh, yes.
So that's always good. I do always really enjoy the question ones, like when we find out.
Yes. No,
when we find out certain things about each other.
Yeah. No, I get that.
So I think I'm going to go with that one, just because I enjoy every episode.
It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I do remember having great conversations regarding the shark episode because we were also drinking. We were also drinking.
That's a highlight for me as well.
And the Meg, Sharknado, and Deep Blue Sea were a lot of fun to talk about.
They were shitloads of fun.
Sharknado especially was a lot of fun to talk about, even though it probably angered me a lot.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah. Like, I get it. Like, I think you and I have a slightly different relationship with bad film. Like so bad they're good. We both like them.
We both like them.
But like I think you have a dumb threshold, which is something I do not have.
Right. Okay.
As a dumb man myself. Oh no,
it gets to a certain point.
That's what I mean. Like, there's a threshold. Like, there's a point where you're like, this is fun, and this is Sharknado.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Because my favorite episode was Evil Dead as well. It was fun. I also remember very fondly how much fun or how funny it was when
the movie
just fell over. We're talking about demons possessing shit, and then a movie falls over, and we're like, well, the podcast is now haunted. Yeah. Which,
fair.
I'm shocked even demons want to come anywhere close to this, to be honest. Angels, I get. Demons, we're not that bad.
I thought it would be the other way around.
No, angels hate us.
Oh, yeah.
Shit we say
on
the
the show. Okay, that's what I mean. Yeah, okay.
I was like, you can think you're going to heaven if you want Pete, but I'm far from
I know I am. I was like, my lifestyle, I am not going to heaven.
A penthouse in hell.
Oh, yeah. I was like, fucking VIP parking already set up. Yeah. I was like,
Peter Gray, certified Rotten Tomato critic and gay.
Yeah.
It's like, perfect. That's perfect for hell.
Yeah.
We love it.
You're a film critic and you're a homosexual? Straight to hell for you.
Straight to hell.
Yeah.
Well, that was monthly movie marathon in a year.
Yeah.
Unless you have any impromptu questions.
I do not.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's move on to a fun little portion of the show where we have your questions from the listeners of the show, the supporters of the show, who we love very much. Thank you for always listening and watching the show. And we're going to have a bit of fun with this segment here. we've got plenty of listener questions now for this little fun portion of the show.
Portion of the show.
Do you want to kick us off? Do you have a question ready to go?
I do have a question. Who was your favorite person to interview or do press for?
Great question.
Yeah.
What a year this has been. This has been wild.
Yeah.
Like, I initially was writing down a list of people we've spoken to, and
I did the same thing,
and it was long.
Yeah,
and it was just it's so exciting. Like this was probably my first big year of interviews.
Yeah. Welcome to the big leagues, baby.
It's nice to be here. Finally, you see my value.
And also, I'm taking full credit for it.
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I think that's completely fair. But in the sense of like, compared to last year and the little bit of 2021 where I did like some interviews, this has been like a full-fledged interview year.
Like we've pretty much been involved, like we've pretty much been involved in everything together.
Pretty much.
There'll always be a few little side things.
But that's just the
But
nature
like
of
the major
big
movie
ones.
studio where usually like we're also like usually seeing them together.
Pretty much all over it together.
Yeah.
So one of my favorites and one of the ones where I was like, I was so excited to talk to this person was M. Night Shyamalan, The Knock at the Cabin. In which he complimented my Hawaiian t-shirt, so it made me feel pretty good.
Yeah.
So that would be like the one I am probably most proud of and like happiest with.
Yeah.
The most exciting, the most fun one was probably Evil Dead Rise with Alyssa Sutherland and Lily Sullivan, who has become a close personal friend of ours to an extent.
Yeah.
So thank you, Lily, for being an absolute dead set legend.
Yeah, she's great.
There's so many. I could list so many. I spoke to people. One of my favorite comedy movies is Wet Hot American Summer. I spoke to 3 people involved in that film this year. Shit. So many. So it's been great. So I would say M. Night Shyamalan is like the one where I was like, holy shit. For this year. How about yourself, Peter Gray?
This year's been big.
It's been huge.
So I'm the same. Like the Evil Dead Rise girls were like up there just because that was just one of the most like fun interviews I've ever done. Fun. But there were 2 people that I was kind of like, I can't believe I'm actually here, and this was in person. So first one, Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd?
I got to be in front of Paul Rudd. I got to talk about Michelle Pfeiffer with Paul Rudd, and
you came.
He is just a charming guy.
Yeah, he seems really nice.
The fact that I talked about a movie that no one talks to him about, because it's a little movie called I Could Never Be a Woman from 2007. No one's fucking seen it. It's actually I have, of course I have.
It's the fight.
It's actually really funny.
Okay.
And it's really well done what they do. It's very kind of absurd, but it's great. So he was kind of like, wow. And I was like, yeah, man.
He's like, you don't hear that in Justice, do you?
Yeah. So that was kind of, but also just the fact that like, I was at a Marvel premiere.
For Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, all right. But
it's the trade-off. You talk to them, then you got to sit through that movie.
But I think pretty cool. I'll also just say quickly, the way that you're knocking off people from Wet Hot American Summer, I'm doing the same for Scream.
No, good point.
So I had a lot of people from Scream 2022, but I've also spoken to like Skeet Ulrich.
Yes.
Like David, I kept, but they're for other projects, but I'm knocking them off. But I don't think anything will possibly top meeting and high-fiving Tom Cruise.
That is like the peak.
That whole junk, like Simon Pegg, Christopher McQuarrie, Haley Atwell, Pom Klementieff, like that whole thing was
unreal,
next level. But
then
having that, I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
And this is all in person.
Yeah.
And then the fact that it was like, you're getting Tom Cruise. And I don't care how brief it was, but he was the most generous. He spoke to every single person.
That's awesome.
They were like, you need to come to this red carpet an hour earlier because we know Tom Cruise is going to talk to everybody. I was here, and he started here, and he walked up, and I could see everyone, like all the people kind of going, and they were just like, it doesn't matter. This is Tom Cruise's movie premiere. It was his 62nd birthday, I think.
I believe so. I knew it was his birthday.
And then he just walked, and then I was in front of him, and it's almost like an out of body experience.
That's so.
But
cool,
like
man.
talking to him, and I just said like how he is a champion of like physical media as well. So the fact that I high five Tom Cruise over like
and have that on
on film.
That's
unreal.
photo.
And then also I don't ever ask for photos with talent, but everybody was doing it, and I was just like,
it's one of those ones where you kind of go like, will I ever talk to this man again? Probably not. And he is of the caliber where you go, I need a photo.
And I just said, Mr. Cruise, can I please ask for a photo? And he was like, absolutely. And then
absolutely. That's how he looked you dead in the eye.
Yeah.
You look great.
Yeah. So
I will have a photo with you.
That's
unreal.
It's insane.
That's fucking cool.
It's insane.
What a fun event that was too.
Oh, that whole weekend was like, because it started off with the Talk to Me boys.
Oh my god!
Who are also incredible to talk
weekend.
to.
Yeah, that
so
was
started talking to them. Then I was there for all the Barbie stuff.
Yep.
Then it was Mission Impossible.
What a weekend!
That was a great weekend.
Pre-strikes, fucking good timing.
Just before the strikes.
Good fucking timing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But all in all, it's been a crazy.
Like we haven't had a bad.
I haven't had a bad interview. All
no.
year.
So it's actually quite hard to pick like a favorite, but just the fact that I'm just like I high five Tom Cruise.
That's
who's probably like the biggest movie star in the world still. So yeah.
He's selling tickets.
He's nice. He's a great guy.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Let's
that was
a good way to start.
Yeah,
good way to start. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, thank you.
Our friend Richard Houlihan on Hollywood wants to know, what's a movie that you and Pete could never agree on? One of you says it's bad, the other says it's good. That's a great question.
That's a great question.
It's a great question. It's not something we've ever really talked about.
I don't think so. Yeah. As in something this year?
Maybe. Or in general, I guess. This year would be a tough one because there's a lot of things we've been very similar minded on.
Yeah.
We have very, very similar tastes. Funnily enough, like Sharknado would be one of them. Like I know Sharknado is terrible, but I could watch that breakfast, lunch, and dinner if I wanted to.
What if we?
Because what we
really disagree on. See, that's like real, like
that's like a 5-star,
0-star,
right? Yeah. This is a toughie.
That's a toughie. I mean,
Absolutely
I know
stumped.
Like I know. This is not at all like an extreme of this question, but like I know when it came out, like you immediately loved Oppenheimer coming out, and I was a bit.
That's true.
It took me a while to really,
No, and I do remember. When
that's not us disagreeing because I still think it's an amazing movie.
No, totally. But I remember us walking out, and I was like, "What do you mean? Like that?"
And I was a bit like, I need to sit with this for a while.
Totally. Yeah. That's a good example of that. Like where it was like an initial, we were like,
yeah, but that's not us disagreeing because ultimately I still came to the fact that it's a great movie.
It's a great film. You came to the right side.
You know what, Richard? I think we'll get back to this one.
We might have to come back.
We will have to. I think we just need to look at films that I know that I probably think are like great.
Name like 5 movies you love.
That I love.
I hate them. Yeah, like I don't hate Batman Returns.
Thank you. All right. Have you seen Crossroads with Britney Spears?
No, I haven't. No.
See, maybe you'll think that you might think that's really shit.
I might. Yeah.
And like I know that it's not great, but I'm also like I won't hear a bad word said about it.
Yeah.
DOA, Dead or Alive.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
I mean, it's so fucking stupid, but I love it.
It is, but it's like,
I love it.
I can't even talk shit because like half the movies I love are dumber than that. That's what you know what I mean? Like, I think the thing mainly is that what we can take away from this discussion is that unlike the majority of faceless social media users out there, Pete and I are of the ilk where you can have differing opinions and it doesn't fucking matter.
Yes. Yeah, like we're not like
which is great.
Like we've joked about it. I don't think there will ever be like a movie that will like tear us apart.
Unless one day I wake up and go, Batman Returns is shit. Michelle Pfeiffer sucks at acting.
And then I'll be like, I am withdrawing myself from this podcast.
I do not agree with
I'll be like,
comments made on
I'll be like, enjoy
Sharknado,
you fucking hack.
But that's the thing.
Like we've always respected each other's opinion. And it's never been like.
Well, we normally respect most people's opinion.
Well, I mean,
that's
true.
Disrespect someone else's opinion. We're kind of like,
be like that person is allowed to think this. That's fine.
Yeah, totally.
It has actually no bearing on you.
I definitely sometimes take qualms with people who gatekeep their movies and be like, this is the greatest film, and if you don't think it's the best film, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, that's not true, because sometimes I just think your films are pretentious as fuck.
But that's okay
not entertaining, and I like entertaining movies.
Yeah.
And that's not wrong, because guess what? You still get your movie, I still get my movies, and we can all live harmoniously.
And people who
anyone who complains that like their films aren't getting made and then has like five-star movies from the year that like had limited releases, like you're still getting your movies.
Yeah. And people who like,
especially in film critics.
And people who will steal like the Marvels and be like, oh, this is the worst movie ever made. I'm like, it's fucking not.
Watch more bad movies.
Watch more bad movies. Like, it's so.
I'm not defending the Marvels. I thought it was
like Marvels was
fine.
Yeah, but I was like, but all this stuff about like it seems to be comic book movies.
It is
tend to be the worst movies ever made. I'm like, they're fucking not.
They're not. I watched Tommy Wiseau's new film a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
that's a bad movie.
Yeah,
did I have a lot of fun? Goddamn right I did. But it's a intentionally bad movie.
Yeah,
Sharknado is a bad movie. The Marvels is not a bad movie. It's not great.
It just disappointed you.
It's disappointing.
And it stars an actress who everyone seems to fucking hate for some reason.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's really done nothing wrong.
Like, Brie Larson she's actually like
this
nowhere near on my radar to be like, I hate it.
And like you see in her interviews, I'm like, she's just like this really sweet, normal person.
Nice.
Like, I don't get it. But then
everyone goes and pulls interviews where she's like, oh, she's being real snarky and bitchy about this. Like, that's in response to you fuckwits.
Yeah.
You guys are being fucking dickheads.
But then if Robert Downey Jr. like harks up about something, it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, he's the man. He's taking back. And I was like, there's no difference.
Yeah, there's no difference.
I think the one difference is their gender. But hey,
that's a bold claim, Peter Gray. I don't think anyone's said that before.
Yeah, right.
Funnily enough. And now we're cancelled as well. No, we've said way worse.
Yeah, we've said way worse.
But yeah, we'll get back to you, Richard.
We will, because I know we will
there
see.
Will be one.
We will see Richard at a screening.
Yeah,
and we will go. Hey,
so that's like a Patreon level.
Yeah,
So that's a private answer. Yeah. We'll slide into your DMs. I'm going to quickly follow it up with, this is like a double-handed question from John the Movie Dude. Which film festival was your favorite to go to this year? And then bringing it home locally, which was the best movie out of BIFF, Brisbane International Film Festival this year?
Best film festival was favorite.
I only did Sydney, and Brisbane, little bit of Sundance.
Yeah.
Didn't get to go to Melbourne this year, unfortunately. It just fell at a bad time.
Yeah.
I would say I probably enjoyed Brisbane more. It actually felt like there was a lot of energy at the Brisbane International Film Festival this year. We got a lot of opportunities regarding interviews and red carpets and sort of actually working alongside BIFF this year as well, which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Sydney was a lot of fun because we just hustled and bustled for 3 days. That was full festival mode.
Yeah.
But still found time to go and have a drink and chill out. But like, we also were watching a film, going to the hotel, writing a review, it was just that was crazy. I liked the hustle and bustle of that, but I think I enjoyed Brisbane International Film Festival a lot this year.
I'm the same.
A couple this year.
I'm the same. Like Brisbane, I think just anything in person is always great.
100%.
And Brisbane really felt Brisbane's program this year was great.
It was very good.
So yeah, I enjoyed Brisbane. Same thing like Sydney's just always fun because you just feel like, oh, I'm in another city. It's great.
Yes, yeah. And I feel the same way when I do Melbourne.
Like Sundance had some banger movies at the beginning of the year.
Oh, it did. It did.
And what else? South by there was some.
South by Tribeca. Did you do Tribeca?
You know what? Tribeca. I was like, Tribeca gets a little pass for me because one of the movies I reviewed, I am quoted in the trailer for it.
Well, there we go. That's all right then.
So
that's what we're up.
Maybe just purely out of egotistical reasons, that'll be my favorite.
Well, good thing you're in the right
but yeah,
industry
like Biff just really sort of like almost like reinvented itself. So it was really good.
Well, then I guess leading on to the second part of the question, what was your favorite film out of Biff?
So this was tough because Biff had a great program,
great lineup,
and there were two movies that really just hit home, really stuck out. So one was Poor Things,
Great film.
arguably.
I think it's in a lot of people's top 10.
But just because of how much it emotionally wrecked me, All of Us Strangers.
What a film. What a film.
Woo!
That is if Andrew Scott does not get an Oscar nomination for that film, I think that's a travesty.
We riot. The gays will riot.
The gays will riot, and the allies will be there too.
It's
a powerful
such
movie.
a beautiful film, and
it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking.
Those final moments are fucking heartbreaking.
And like Andrew Scott, Paul Mescal, Jamie Bell, Claire Foy, there is not one performance put wrong.
And they are the 4 performances. That's the thing.
It actually it devastates me that Claire Foy and Jamie Bell are not being talked about more.
Totally. Yeah.
I'm glad that Andrew Scott is.
I feel like that's one of those things though where you kind of go like, Andrew Scott is that good. Paul Mescal is that good.
Yeah.
And then you have Jamie Bell and Claire Foy, who are fucking amazing.
But also this year is like great year for like there are so many performances.
When we go to our own little recaps of it, it's kind of like it's tough breaking down. So both great films, both films I enjoyed immensely.
Yeah,
my favorite film out of Biff was one that actually kind of took me off guard.
Yeah,
I had no expectation going into it.
I think I know which one.
Mainly because I hadn't seen a trailer. I just read the synopsis for Biff, and I was like, "Can I have a ticket to it, please?"
Yeah.
Ended up talking to the director before the film.
Yeah.
Awesome guy. And then I was like, well, man, I'm excited to see a movie. And I walked out and he was still there after the screening. And I was like, I don't normally think this, but that might be my favorite movie out of Biff. That's one of my favorite movies of the year. And that was Bird Eater.
Fuck yeah.
And if you like having or watching anxiety attacks, this is the movie.
Watch Bird Eater, yeah.
I'll just say it's a Bucks party that goes wrong, but not for the reasons you would expect.
Yeah.
The
fucking the reveal in this as to what's going on is like,
well, how the power dynamic plays.
I imagine there'll be a lot of there could be a lot of triggering.
It feels like it'd be a very triggering.
If you've had let's just say if you've had a toxic abusive relationship, then strap yourself in.
But the movie definitely plays its hand early. Like this is an intentionally uncomfortable movie, but it is a very what feels like an authentic portrayal of not just abusive power dynamics in romantic relationships, but friendships.
Friendships, yeah.
And it has two of the best scenes of the year that are genuinely, there were no jump scares. It's not a horror film, but two of the scariest was when they play Paranoia.
Yeah.
The coin flip game.
Oh my God.
It's fucking dreadful. And then there's this very intoxicating
the dinner scene.
The dinner scene's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. And Ben Hunter, who is probably more well known to being like a comedian and a social media comedian.
Yeah.
Kills it in this film.
Yeah.
That's it. But no, I was really off-put by the trance-like state of the stripper scene.
Yes. Yeah. That's where it becomes really horror-esque.
Yeah. But like I said, no jump scares or anything. But it's a really great script. It's very remnant of Wake and Fright.
Yes.
It's just fucked.
I hope it somehow
Umbrella have for distribution in 2024.
Which means Broly might get it as well.
Broly might get it, the streaming service. But I spoke to Jim Weir, one of the co-directors beforehand, and I've spoken to him since. And I've been trying to organize an interview with him and his co-director as well. It's just a busy time of year.
Yeah.
But hopefully for 2024, when the film comes out, we'll get to talk to them both. And I'm going to reveal it here because he said it's to someone in public that their next film that they're working on is a schoolies-based thriller.
That's right.
And that's fucking cool.
That's that could go in so many directions. So Bird Eater was by far my favorite film out of Biff. But again, I loved a lot of what Biff had. I think I ended up seeing 21 movies or something. So it was great. It was great. Yeah.
Do you have another question for us from a listener, Mr. Peter?
So this is like a two-parter because favorite thing about a movie you disliked.
Oh.
But something you disliked about a movie you liked.
Should we stick with 2023 to keep it?
Yeah.
Keep it relevant?
Yeah. So something in a movie that you really didn't like, but there was a part of it you did like, and something you are like, I didn't like that, but overall I liked the movie.
Interesting. Okay. What a toughie. What a tough question. I'm trying to think. So like a lot of the movies that I loved this year, because I gave a couple of movies 5-star movies, and I wouldn't have given them 5 stars if there wasn't anything. If there was things that I didn't like about it, I normally give those movies 4.5 or maybe a 4, right? If it's a 5, that to me is like, sure, they may not be perfect in a lot of people's eyes, but in my eyes, they were perfect. So, so I don't think there's anything in those sorts of those movies. Do you have any answers to this? Have you had a chance to think about it? These are good questions.
It's a good question.
Now I know what it feels like to be on the opposite side of a junket.
Yeah, right.
When we try and like ask reasonably good questions, they sit there and they go, "Oh wow, that's a good question."
Look, I know that it was probably like an intentional part of it because of what the movie is, but I did find, and I did find the lack of female presence in Oppenheimer disappointing.
Okay.
Mainly because Florence Pugh, I was like, I get her, like her role in the film and her like influence on him.
Yep.
But I just felt like she had nothing to do. And you give Florence Pugh a role and you kind of want something more.
Yeah.
And I also felt it took me a long time for Emily Blunt to feel
like she was
like an actual person in the film.
Yeah.
Obviously when like Emily Blunt's incredible in it.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are like, it's not a movie, like it's a male driven movie and all that sort of stuff. I get it. But I just felt like those two actresses felt quite like hyped up.
Right. Yeah.
And then it was kind of like
hyped up in an ensemble piece as well, right? Yeah.
And then, so yeah, I think Florence Pugh just ultimately me being like, oh, there's not much here.
Okay.
That disappointed me.
Right.
And that was kind of something that I disliked.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I'm sure there'll be people that will want to come at me for what the movie is and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, that was just something that I was a bit like, I was kind of expecting more from her, considering how influential on her, how influential on Oppenheimer she is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. I get that. I think it might be a bit of a cop-out answer, but it's not. In a movie that was terrible, which was After Everything, the discourse following that between yourself, Rhiannon, and Georgia was pretty great. And the mutual disappointment we shared that even though this is a shit franchise, we've had a fair bit of fun with it.
Yeah.
And for the movie for the series to end on a film as fucking boring as After Everything was just that was my favorite part. Like the movie's bad, but my favorite part was the fact that I knew as soon as I pressed stop, I was able to be able to let it all out.
Yeah,
so you guys I think that's fine. I think it's like the community experience of film and whatnot. I will say, in a more accurate answer to the question, I didn't like Napoleon. I didn't hate Napoleon, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
However, I think it was intentional comedic moments, especially when Napoleon is just like jackrabbiting Josephine from behind, finishes in like 10 seconds, and then goes, I hope this hard work bears a boy.
Yeah.
Is one of the hardest I've laughed at a cinema this year. So that's a good moment in a bad film, but a bad moment in a good film. I might quickly just go to
your list.
to my films that I've enjoyed, and just kind of see if something comes out. I would say I loved Saltburn, but I don't think the movie is as deep as everyone's making it out to be.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think it's this sophisticated piece of work that like more like Promising Young Woman was like.
Yes.
I just think it's a fucked up movie about the need for acceptance.
Yeah.
And I think that is kind of part of the film's weakness. But at the same time, I had so much fun because I love movies that get real fucking weird like that. So Saltburn is not as thematically rich as a lot of people are making it out to be.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it a bad movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
I fucking loved it. So that's what I would say for that answer.
And for something that like I didn't like, but a movie that I didn't like, but I can find a positive about it, and maybe it's a cop-out, but hey, I don't give a fuck.
It's our show.
So obviously, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was not a great movie.
No, not at all.
But
you got to.
It was no. Well, obviously, I got to speak with
Powell,
but it was unfortunately and fortunately, it utilized Michelle Pfeiffer, the best out of the Marvel movies she's been in.
Yes.
So when it was a Marvel movie focusing on her, and it feels bad to talk about him, Jonathan Majors.
No, yeah.
When it was a movie focusing on like their dynamic, their relationship and everything, I felt like it was actually a good Marvel movie. Right? Yeah, and then it just kind of turned into this CGI fucking and this weird fucking Corey Stoll became the fucking whatever.
When it became MODOK.
MODOK. Yeah. But yeah, so I felt like, because Ant-Man and the Wasp, I was disappointed with the fact that she was just vacant for so much of the movie.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And then she had like literal seconds in Endgame.
And then,
although she looks fucking,
she actually got to fucking,
but she actually got to do something. She got to be like an action star again.
Yeah, good.
So that was something that in a movie that I disliked, that is something that I very much liked. Enjoyed. Yeah,
there we go. Yeah. Thank you for the question. Yeah. John has another question here. Just hot food. Should hot food be served at cinemas? Gold class only. I don't think you should be able to bring hot food into standard session because I don't want to fucking smell it.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
That's just me being me.
Yeah.
Gold class, you're kind of paying for that.
Gold class, you're paying for it, and there's not a lot of people in there, and everybody else in there is aware that hot food will be sold.
I had an experience this year at a movie in which it was a sold out session, and someone next to me was eating a cheese pizza and started getting like indigestion burps, and I could smell it, and I was fucking.
From in there, I was just like, I've eaten pizza at a screening with you, and I was like,
no, but you didn't get indigestion burps, and that's okay.
True. Yeah.
And it was bad.
What movie was
that? It's not bad. It was a Biff screening. I won't say because the person knows me.
Right.
I won't say who.
I'll ask when everything is.
But it was. Yeah, that was a shit experience. So keep it gold class and don't eat cheese pizza if you get indigestion.
Yeah. If you're aware that that's how your body reacts, then just don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Massive friend of the show, Tim Ifland of Popcorn Podcast, one of our favorite podcasts.
Shout out Tim. I had a great little dinner with him in Sydney when I went to see Priscilla.
That's lovely.
Yeah, we caught up.
Him. I miss Tim.
Tim and Lee, man, good people. We
will be down there hopefully soon, sometime next year.
We'll probably definitely be there in June for
we'll be there for Sydney Film Fest. Hopefully earlier. But Tim asks, what was the biggest overhyped film of the year?
Overhyped film.
Great question.
Ooh.
I would love to answer that.
Overhyped.
So I'm gonna say as well, like overhyped, but like. I would say you argue disappointing as well. Like a movie that was like you're gonna because I would even say Ant-Man and the Wasp falls into that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Because it seemed to be like they were,
that sort of thing.
Not
necessarily for me.
Overhyped.
That's a good question. It's a great question.
Good question.
I'm trying to
think of something.
No, it's not overhyped. It's not overhyped. I won't say that one because I don't think it was overhyped. Oh, nah, I've got mine. Maestro.
Right, okay.
So fucking overhyped. It's fine.
I still haven't seen it.
Visually great. Carey Mulligan's great. Bradley Cooper is good. But the movie's boring. And that's the thing is, I said this to Rhiannon afterwards. I said, just because someone did something interesting doesn't make their story interesting.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that's Maestro. Well, that's how at least the story of Maestro is presented. I think that was very overhyped, especially coming into award season.
Right, that's fair.
I would say that. On a blockbuster level...
I'm just going through my list.
On a blockbuster level, it's kind of tough because there's been so many decent blockbusters. I can understand if people would say David Fincher's The Killer was overhyped. It's a new Fincher movie coming out.
I feel like I kind of avoided a lot of that, and I liked it. I really liked it, and the more I thought about it, the more I really liked it.
Exactly.
As well. So, overhyped. Let's go.
I definitely have a few other little ones that were more disappointments than overhyped, but yeah, it'd be
okay. Maybe I felt like, I could be completely wrong because I felt like it started out having decent reviews.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't like it, but there seemed to be a lot of people that were kind of in its corner. Indiana Jones?
Yeah. Nah, yeah.
I know that it didn't
It was hyped until it premiered.
Yeah.
The Cannes Film
Festival. And it felt like everything was in that film's corner because you had James Mangold, who's a pretty fucking solid director.
I love not a bad film for me until Indiana Jones.
Walk the Line, Logan, Night and Day, underrated.
Ford v Ferrari.
Yes.
310 to Yuma.
Yeah. Shit,
films.
yeah. And, you know, you had Harrison Ford returning. Yeah. You had Phoebe Waller-Bridge in there, and I feel
Disney
like
backing it. Like, so you got endless amounts of cash.
I felt like the trailers for it were like really good.
I don't remember watching the trailers, so but I mean, like there was a level.
It just felt like there was this sort of
there was a buzz around
and the fact that you know you got Harrison Ford like back
to doing it, like
you
that's
know. And it just felt, and then the fact that it was premiering at Cannes was like, wow, you've got like
you got something, you got a winner on your hands, and then bam.
So I felt like that kind of got like overhyped,
especially because of the years long build up to it. Yeah, they've been talking about Indy 5 for so long to the point that it was going to be a new Indiana Jones with Chris Pratt. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow. God, that would have pissed everybody off.
Could you imagine that? No, it has to be animated for him to do it these days. Shout out to Garfield. Can't wait to review that in 2024. I'll quickly jump this one as well. Dominic Murphy, friend of the show. He does say at the end of this, he's moving to New Zealand next year, which I didn't know. So all the best with the travels for you and your missus. But he did say keep up the podcast.
Thanks, man.
We'll still be here. I do believe we transmit to New Zealand. So you'll still be able to listen to us.
So no excuses not to listen to us.
But Dominic is a videographer. So this is a very apt question, or very on-brand question for him. If you had to pick a favorite shot or your favorite cinematography from a film this year, what would it be? Great question.
Purely going off, I mean, there's a lot of things I could think of.
Yep.
Purely going off the fact that this was the first thing that went into my brain reading that question. Yeah. And it's probably going to be an answer that everyone will be like, it's a great shot. But I mean, I can't go past the fucking shoes in Barbie.
Oh, God, yeah.
When she walks stepping out and the shoe does. I was like, that's
there's a lot of Barbie that looks
Barbie
great.
Is a beautiful looking film.
Oh, God, yeah.
I rewatched it in 4K. Fuck me.
I haven't rewatched it yet. So I've got it. It's sitting right
it is beautiful to look at. But that shot,
Rodrigo Prieto.
That shot is just like masterful. The fact that the shoes stay, the feet stay on. I mean, it's great. And then another one would be, and this is like, because this is one of my favorite movies of the year, in Scream 6.
That came out this year.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
It's just the particular shot of when, I mean, we'll say a spoiler, but like when Samara Weaving is killed.
Yeah, she's the opening kill.
And it's like right before you get the shock reveal of a Ghostface revealing themselves thing, and he says like, now I see something red. And
that's right.
And then the blood kind of splats on his. And then there's just this shot, and then he's just like breathing.
He's breathing, yeah.
And then I was like, that's just a cool thing of like this line that like recalls
back
to the beginning of the movie where she's like, I'm looking for a red sign. He says, now this I see something red. Cuts it, blood splats on him, and then it's just like this brief. No, because Scream 6 is later on with.
Oh, the second.
So the second one.
Right.
So it's just that kind of like shock thing of
that's
like
right.
we've killed Samara Weaving.
I need to watch that again.
We're expecting the title card to come up.
Yes.
But Ghostface stands there breathing and takes his mask off.
And then you're like, holy shit. That's right.
So that shot of like the knife coming down, the blood coming on him. But I still think the Barbie shoes is there. That's just incredible.
I'm just looking through the list of movies we watched this year. There are so many great looking movies. This is
like it's difficult.
Is like genuinely tough. Like I think there's a shot in the possession montage of Talk to Me where the camera follows whoever in the chair and follows over. I love that shot. You could argue that Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, The Killer all just have brilliant shots, like amazing cinematography. This is genuinely a tough one. Like the other one I was thinking of was Holdovers is probably like one of my most aesthetically visually favorite films.
like it is set in the 70s and it looks like it's filmed in the 70s. It's so good.
Looks like it. But my favorite shot of the year, which is actually a question that comes up later on, so we'll quickly say it now, would be the Hotline Miami scene in John Wick Chapter 4.
Right,
Camera, it's a one shot where the camera goes to a bird's eye view and we get like a 3-minute extended action scene.
Yeah.
But also, John Wick 4, probably arguably the greatest shot action film of all time. Like, it looks incredible. So that's where I sit on that. But that's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dom.
Nice.
Where are we at, Pete? Do you have any more questions on there?
The other one I have is movie you'd like to get press for or interview for?
Should we say just for 2024?
Just for 2024.
I'll be 100% honest, I'm not totally like all over what's coming out next year.
I'm the same.
I'm just trying to finish 2023 to be honest. In terms of what I know is coming out and like who I would like to talk to, if Keanu was available for Ballerina, I'd love to talk to Keanu Reeves. I think that would be a fucking highlight. June would be great just because June Part 2, just because it has a plethora of people.
Yeah.
That's about it, to be honest. Like I'm assuming the same for you. I just get fucking giddy about talking to anyone who's involved with films because I love film and I love talking about it and I love talking to people involved with it. So I always find that pretty fun. But
it still does. It still does like humble me when they're like, "We got you this person." I'm like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah. Oh, and I think that's
especially, and then especially when it's just like, "Oh, and you're like the only person talking to them."
The day it becomes like a chore is the day I want to go.
Yeah.
Like that, and I hope that never happens.
Yeah.
Because I don't ever want to give a shit interview either. So but yeah, definitely those ones are up there for me. How about you, Pete?
Mine, if it happens, and because it's getting distributed by either Universal or Warner Brothers. So I'm like immediately thinking there's a good chance.
Well, there's a good chance because we have a very good relationship with those
coming out at
people.
the end of the year. Yeah. It's a Christmas themed movie coming out at the end of the year. If anything happens with it and I get even 2 minutes with this person.
Is it Michelle Pfeiffer?
It is not Michelle Pfeiffer. Okay. God. I was like, I need Michelle Pfeiffer to be in a Universal movie. Purely just that. This is like one of the other people that I want to interview.
Right.
My big, beautiful...
Red One.
Ah, yes. So Red One starring Dwayne Johnson is coming out of the... I mean, it's a great... Like, J.K. Simmons is in it.
Ryan Gosling's in it.
It's a great...
It's directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber.
But Dwayne Johnson's headlining.
Yes.
It's a movie being released by... I think it's Universal.
It's Universal WB, yeah.
They know...
How much
I want to talk to him. So maybe that in their mind they're like, we're not going to give you to him but I was like, but if that happens, like,
you know what?
That's everything to me.
And you have triggered something in my head. The Fall Guy.
The Fall Guy, yes. Emily Blunt, Ryan Gosling, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, David Leitch. I've spoken to David Leitch. He's fucking cool.
So that would be cool.
That'd be cool.
If they do press
as soon as you said Ryan Gosling, I was like, fuck the Fall Guy.
The Fall Guy would be good.
Because like Emily Blunt to me would be...
I love
her.
Right?
She's fucking great. But yeah, if I get anything for Red One and it's that anything is Dwayne Johnson, like... That's one of the top 3 ticked
Sorry, every other interview that comes afterwards.
Yeah, that's one of the top 3 ticked off.
Who's else in the...
So it's Pfeiffer
and...
Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
And, it's like Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, okay. No, that'd be great. Yeah, fair.
And she has this weird, like, movie music thing coming out in February for This Is Me Then.
That's right.
This Is Me Now.
So...
but I don't see... I mean...
How that could be.
But
you never know. Never say never.
Yeah, so Dwayne Johnson, Red One, manifesting.
Yes.
I will start, like, as soon as, like, the trailer's released for that, I'm like, come on.
Get the campaign going.
I won't say I'll never ask for anything again because that's not true. But come on.
Yeah, it's like
come on.
Yeah, that's it.
And you know what? You know that interview is going to be a good interview.
Oh, you know it's going to be a great interview.
Like,
because The Rock is a great.
He's
PR
a great
man.
PR person, and you're talking to someone who's like enthusiastic.
That's true. That's very true.
So yeah, that would be mine.
I like it. I've
only got a year. It's all good.
We've got a couple more listener questions to get through. Guy at the Movies, Joe, who I've actually been doing a little guest spot on Guy at the Movies the last few weeks. While Sean's on paternity leave, he asked, there's context behind that question. He asked, what is my favorite food, but we'll get your favorite food too.
Favorite food?
Pepperoni pizza. Love pepperoni pizza.
Yeah.
Could eat until the day I die. I fucking love
favorite
pizza.
food. Wow. Actually, I was expecting.
Just go on lunchtime.
I was expecting movie questions.
I'm
a favorite food. I mean, Pepperoni's always good. I mean, I'm a seafood person.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like,
do you get garlic prawn pizza?
Garlic prawns. But like we went, so
I do love the cream sauce that they put on garlic prawn pizza as well.
But like garlic prawns, like scallops, mussels, Moreton Bay bug.
Like Moreton Bay bug rolls. Remember when we had those for Elvis? It was the best part of that. Well, I mean, sorry. Also talking to the fantastic people there. But the Moreton Bay bug was one of the best parts.
So I went to lunch the other day.
Yeah.
And it had Moreton Bay bug tempura.
Yum, dude. What the fuck? Yum.
Ippon Japanese restaurant in West End.
Feel free to sponsor the show.
Me.
We will review your Moreton bug tempura Moreton Bay bug rolls.
Yeah. And and their duck. Oh.
Yum.
I love seafood, man.
Fair.
Just everything.
I get it. I'm a big, I love prawns. And I love tempura prawn sushi.
Yeah.
I love prawn, like we're having prawns this Christmas.
But like sizzling garlic prawns.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yum. It's good shit.
Octopus. Octopus is great.
I've had octopus. No, I have, and I love calamari.
I had stingray in Malaysia.
Shit,
that's fucking great.
Vengeance.
This one's for Steve.
That's on for you.
Yeah. So seafood would be. I mean, obviously, and then like I'm a chocolate fiend as well.
Yes, and that's obviously
that's not a secret.
That's not a secret at all. From our Wonka episode.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
But yeah, seafood and chocolate. There you go.
Fair. No, that's fair. So there's a bit of context to this next question. If you got kiddies around at the moment, we're about to say a swear word a lot of times.
Yeah, we apologize.
But I was talking to Joe from Guy at the Movies the other day, and he literally just texted me out of the blue. He was like, is cunt really not that big of a deal in Australia? And I was like, no, I probably say it like 50 times a day.
It's really not.
It's not.
It's funny because like you can say it to someone as an insult, and it's because you emphasize
the T.
The T.
It's the C and the T. If you go a hard C and a hard T, and you say it with that aggressive tone,
that's an insult.
You mean it. But there's an old Australian adage where it's like you call your mates cunt and you call cunts mate. Because whenever you easy, mate, calm down.
Yeah, or like ease up, mate.
Ease up, mate.
Yeah.
Which you genuinely
because you'd be like
cunt.
Yeah, you'd be like, ease up, mate. He's a good cunt. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, and that's it.
It's like the yeah, nah, yeah thing.
The yeah, nah, yeah.
So if someone says, "Do you want to go somewhere?" and you go, "Yeah, nah," that's a no. Even though you start with the yeah.
But if you say nah, yeah,
that's a yes. Yeah.
But it's funny because like it definitely is more so a term of endearment here
because it's so in
anyone but you.
Well, anyone but you
is used, and it's used very. It's funny, yeah.
But I was thinking the Royal Hotel.
Oh, okay. That's a great.
So in the Royal Hotel, because it's two American girls, Julia Garner and Jessica Henwick, in this like outback Australian pub where
remote mining town,
like, rough and tough,
rough as guts. And within the first 5 minutes,
and one of them calls her a cunt,
smart cunt,
because
she says something. And he goes, "Oh, you one of them smart cunts, are you?"
And she's like.
Taken back,
and she's like, he just and then the other, I think Julia Garner is the one who's said it to, and she's like, he just called me a cunt, and then Jessica Henwick's like, it's don't worry, it's actually a term.
It's so great you brought that up
because
I was asking because we both this year, speaking of interviews, got to interview Kitty Green
for the Royal Hotel.
Yep. And I asked her about the reception between different audiences. Australian American. She was like, it's funny because Americans, as soon as they hear Hugo Weaving call her a cunt, they get real. They're on edge.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, he's going to do something. He's going to do
something. Yeah.
Whereas when I saw it at Biff, that got a laugh.
Yeah.
Got a laugh from everyone. You know what I mean? So it's funny how it's a word. It's the same letters. The context is the exact same, but it's just the difference between colloquially. Fuck me, that's a hard word to say. Colloquially. Wow, that's really hard to say. Colloquially, yeah. Anyway, what a cunt of a word.
Yeah.
It's just such a, and has very little effect normally.
Yeah.
But until you really
say it.
You really call someone a cunt.
Yeah.
So the question actually was, how many times can you say cunt in one sentence without sounding weird? We could say it 100 times, it wouldn't sound weird.
This is going to be a Little Mean Girl shout out. The limit does not exist.
I need to watch that for our spoilers.
Oh yeah,
next month's show. But and it's funny because like when I say it, but I don't get to say it in front of American people often. But I do kind of think like, I don't have a lot
like
of American friends.
Going into an interview and be like,
Joe, you are my American friend.
How the fuck you doing, you fucking cunt?
I will occasionally say fuck. I will say shit. I've never said cunt in an interview.
I've said shit and I've said fuck, but a lot of sometimes
there's context,
but also sometimes I'm kind of like it's. Like you know, but
it depends on the film.
Yeah,
too,
and if
right?
they've said the line, you almost like. I remember talking to this was last year for Bros.
Oh yeah,
we both spoke to Nicholas Stoller,
but I
spoke to Billy Eichner and Luke McFarlane, and I said one of the funniest things in that movie was Deborah Messing's cameo, and and her line of when she just pops back in the frame and she goes, "The door's fucking locked."
Yeah, it's such great delivery.
I reiterated that to them, and it's like a case of I've said the line to them, so I'm not swearing at them
or being like,
and they were just like both like, it's funny.
It's
so
time
it's
and a place
in context, but I've never
settings, but I've never said cunt.
But and you know what? If there was a line in a movie that I wanted to talk about and the word was said, I would probably say. So then you go and say like
Yes.
But I have had
how Kitty Green said it.
I have had an interview
where someone said it.
Interesting. So loony porn.
Okay. Bad Luck Banging Your Loony Porn. Bad Luck Banging Loony Porn. Which opens with an unsimulated sex scene.
And there's
guess you can get away
And there's
with
a scene where, because they filmed that kind of guerrilla style.
Very guerrilla style,
where this person like looks in the camera and says, I think she says like, lick my cunt.
Yeah.
So then I was speaking to the director about it.
And I didn't even talk about how the word cunt is basically a derogatory term for vaginas as well.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
But I asked him about that. I didn't say the word.
No.
But in the answer, he happily said it.
But it's a part of the film.
And I was like, okay. And then obviously that was one of those things that when I transcribed it, I'm like, that's getting C, sa.
But like in all honesty, like, and I definitely think it's one of those words where there are less derogatory elements to it, where it's kind of like, it's obviously a word that people do get offended by.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. But it's not one where it's not a hateful slur. Whereas, like, there are people who you can just feel comfortable saying cunt and it's fine.
Yeah.
It just depends, like all things except hateful derogatory slurs, context.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it at the end of the day.
But it is funny, like, from an American point of view to be like, you guys say it a lot. And we're like, we do.
We do. And that's just, I wake up in the morning and I go, cunt. And that's most days.
Yeah.
So that is, thank you, Joe, for your questions.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Ashley Hobley says, what 2023 film do you most want a sequel or prequel to?
Ooh.
Good question. A very recent one, which is not the most I want, but I would love the film that bridges the gap between Wonka and Willy Wonka. I want to see where, I know a lot of people's minor criticisms were like, well, how does that charmful, whimsical Wonka become the Gene Wilder Willy Wonka? Yeah, let's have a movie about that.
Yeah.
That's fine. I still really enjoyed Wonka.
I really enjoyed Wonka. Wonka was sweet.
That's where I think
mine. Because now who the fuck knows what's going to happen to it?
What movie?
Scream 7.
Oh, of course. Sorry. Yeah.
So Scream 6. Scream 7 is apparently still going ahead.
But obviously
we don't have Melissa Barrera.
Yeah.
We don't have Jenna Ortega.
New director.
But you know what?
Christopher
Landon. I'm happy with the new director.
I'm a fan.
Nev Campbell still hasn't said yes or no. Courtney Cox still hasn't said yes or no. But Courtney Cox's show just got cancelled, so people are like, maybe. Look, it's one of those things where I'm like, I will see Scream 7 because also pure curiosity.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'm like, I'm very disappointed with how it's all fallen apart, I guess. But you know what? I love that, if the rumors are true, I love that Melissa Barrera, that Spyglass called her in and said,
asked.
We will rehire you if you just like apologize for everything
I heard she just even declined the meeting.
Well, yeah, there's rumors that she declined the meeting, but there's other rumors where she was like, she basically said,
emphasis there is rumors. We're not saying this is news.
But it's a case of, apparently Spyglass reached out. She either said no or she had the meeting and was just like, no. I will not apologize for something that I believe in. I would rather like lose this job. And I was like, so I think that's great. Speaks a lot of her character.
Stick to your laurels.
Also, she's fine. She has a movie coming out in Sundance. She just wrapped the Universal Monster movie.
Yep.
Where I think it sounds like she's playing like Dracula's daughter or something like that. Also, Universal Monster movie, give me Melissa Barrera as an interview.
Oh yeah, good point actually.
Because she's fucking great. I spoke to her for Scream. She's fucking great. But yeah, I am disappointed that the original Scream 7 with this new like timeline is going to be just like what the fuck's happening?
What's happening? So
so that's
Yeah, no, I can see that. So the curiosity, but you want a good sequel.
I want a good sequel, but like and you can't get a good like if they just reboot it, I'm like you can't call it Scream 7. And you can't call it Scream because you've done it twice already.
Third one,
so you have to do this with Neve Campbell or Courtney Cox or both. Yeah, I don't see it another way.
Another one I want to add in is I would love to see either a prequel, sequel, or spin-off of Talk to Me. Because there are so many fun ideas you can do just with the concept of the hand alone.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately you may have seen the hand in some videos recently. It's not here today because it's actually off getting signed by the person who created the story for Talk to Me. Who is also the creator of, or a developer and creator of Bluey.
Bluey, yeah.
So, and I have connections in the Bluey-verse. So he's signing my hand for me at the moment, which is very cool because Georgia, I don't know if I can say.
We both know someone from Bluey.
We got Bluey connections.
Yeah, I got that Chile connection.
Yeah, I've been watching Bluey just unironically as well, and it's great.
Apparently, it's the one show that dogs can see the color for it.
Oh my god!
Because dogs are colorblind.
Yeah.
And apparently, whatever is happening with they can make it out in Bluey. And I was like, that's great.
It's such a good. Have you watched any episodes? Of
No, I haven't.
I'm gonna get our mutual friend to curate a list because we've watched some episodes where even I sit there and I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
I want to also test it and have Gigi watch it just to see what she does.
And she'd be like, what the fuck is this other dog?
I love when she sees something and you can just see her going.
Just curious.
Just watching it.
She's a fucking cutie. But Talk to Me.
Yeah.
There was talk of like they filmed footage from like the party opening. The origins of the hand would be cool. Where does the hand go next? Like there are so many ideas, and we're obviously getting a Talk to Me sequel. So
it's kind of
Talk to Me. So I'm excited for that as well.
Yeah.
Two more questions on the list, both from Movie Watching Girl, our friend Ashley.
Hey, Ashley.
I would say arguably probably our biggest supporter.
I think so. She really loves us.
I'm happy to give you that crown, Ashley.
Yeah, she really loves us.
You are a day one supporter.
She's always like, I can't wait to see what you guys are doing next. I'm like, oh.
And we're very appreciative of it.
She's really sweet.
Her question... The second question was favorite performances of the year. We might hold that because we will be talking about those. So just know when we get to that bit, Ashley did ask that question. But I think this is a good one to finish on. What's your hot takes from 2023?
Hot takes.
Straight away. I liked Exorcist Believer. I don't think it was a terrible film.
Yeah.
I liked it. I actually liked it a lot. I don't think it's a perfect movie, but I think a lot of people shit on it for no reason because they were still hurt from Halloween.
Very true, yeah.
I actually think it's a decent film.
Yeah.
That's my hot take, 2023.
Yeah.
Fucking come at me.
My hot take.
Or leave me alone. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, I was the same. I was a supporter of Exorcist Believer as well.
Yes, you were.
Like,
yeah.
I was like, it's not this dog shit movie
it's
that
not
everyone's
dog
fucking...
shit like everyone was saying.
My hot take.
Yeah, it's a toughie, isn't it? Hey, like.
All right. I don't. Oh, this is. I was gonna say something, but it's like it's more. It's more like covering the I guess the studio as a whole.
Yeah.
But obviously we've seen DC just like their trajectory
shit its pants and die.
But for starters, I don't think The Flash is a bad movie. Maybe that's a hot take. I actually really enjoyed The Flash.
Yeah, I feel like that's a hot take on both sides of the camp.
Yeah.
Because I didn't care for it, so I don't care. But there are people who think it's one of the greatest superhero movies ever made, and then there's everyone else who thinks it's dog shit.
I don't think it's one of the greatest superhero movies ever made.
But you enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it, yeah, totally.
But you know what? Maybe, and then my hot take from that is that even though Marvel movies are probably better overall, I think DC took much better risks.
I would agree that they take more risks.
Like they took more risks. It didn't always pay off, but I think overall they were a more exciting studio with the characters they were giving full films to.
Yep.
The fact that they gave the fact that they made Birds of Prey is enough for me.
Well, the fact that they made Zack Snyder's Justice League. That they literally just said, okay, you all hate this fucking movie we butchered. Yeah. Let's give the director a chance to make his vision.
The Suicide Squad, I love that they were just like, let's just make this an R-rated carnage thing.
Which paid off for that one,
Paid off. So maybe my first little hot take is that I liked The Flash.
Yep.
I think The Flash is a good movie. I think a lot of people hated that movie because they were relating it to what Ezra Miller did. I do not agree with what Ezra Miller did, but that doesn't take away from the fact that they gave a good performance in The Flash.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
I also do prefer the original ending that I saw where we didn't get George Clooney's reveal.
That's right. Yes, I remember.
So the screening that I saw basically had
who the fuck is that?
Bruce Wayne got out of the car. All we saw was his foot. We heard him say something, and we saw Ezra Miller go, "Who the fuck is this?" And then it went black screen. That was a great
far better ending, And then the dumb tooth.
The theatrical ending is that we get the George Clooney cameo, which is great because it's like George Clooney finally,
back
but
as Batman.
It kind of, so that's my hot take, that The Flash is a good movie. Fuck everybody else. I don't care. And that I think DC overall were a much more exciting studio.
Interesting. That is a good hot take. That is a hot take.
Yeah.
I have one more small hot take.
Yeah.
I don't like the ending to Across the Spider-Verse. I don't like part one to be continued.
Right, yeah.
That's a problem I have with that in general.
With when it's part one.
But I think it left more of a sour taste in my mouth for a movie that I was like, okay, with a lot of build-up and kind of goes almost nowhere initially. I walked out pretty disappointed.
Yeah, okay.
I think the movie, I need to watch it again because I think I will really enjoy it the second time. But
knowing how it ends,
imagine
do you
just
think?
getting a fucking hand job and then not coming. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty much the only comparison you can make to that.
Wouldn't know.
I would. Sometimes I do it to myself just to punish myself. But yeah, I just feel like this. And then stop. Anyway, I didn't think the ending to Spider-Verse was that good.
Well, there you go.
Thank you, everyone, for your listener questions.
Thank you very much.
That is incredible, the support you've shown us throughout the whole year. We appreciate you, as we always say. But now let's start wrapping up into the year that was. 2023 in film for myself, Nick LaBarrow, and yourself, Peter Gray.
Yes.
So we're going to start with what one of Ashley's questions was. What is your favorite performance of the year? And as you can see, I have a fucking list here. So I'm just going to rattle off what was in my contentions, right?
Fair.
Sophia Wilde, Talk to Me.
Yes.
As Mia, brilliant.
Yeah.
Now more so, there's more problematic aspects with this as well. But at the time, I really enjoyed Jonathan Majors in Creed 3.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's another story to be told on another day as to where that goes now. Greta Lee in Past Lives. Heartbreaking final scene.
So great.
I loved Cillian Murphy and Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer. Yep. Thought they were both great. I thought Robert De Niro was the best performance in Killers of the Flower Moon. Yeah. Emma Stone in Poor Things.
Yep.
Andrew Scott in All of Us Strangers.
Yes.
Paul Giamatti and Dominic Sessa for The Holdovers.
Yes.
And then Zac Efron, Harris Dickinson, and Jeremy Allen White in The Iron Claw.
Yeah.
But Mauritani and Holt McCallany and Stanley Simons, Lily James. Like, there is no bad performances in that film.
Yeah.
But that trio, those brothers, even though there is four brothers, like the trio of the ones that we really follow, even Stanley Simons, are all fantastic. So I'm having a really tough time picking. I'm going to have to pick one for the show. So do you have one?
To go? So there's a lot of crossover. Good. I was the same where I was and like my immediate thought, Emma Stone, fucking
She's
incredible.
So good. I would love her to win the Oscar.
I was saying with like Andrew Scott, Paul Mescal, Jamie Bell, Claire Foy for All of Us Strangers.
Yeah.
Same with like Iron Claw. Same with Giamatti.
Fuck, the Iron Claw is so heartbreaking. It's not out till January here in Australia, but we've seen it.
Please see that movie. But be prepared to be.
It's a tough one to recommend.
To be devastating.
Because it is devastating, but it is brilliant.
Another two, and I don't know what is happening with this movie in Australia.
Yeah,
but Jeffrey Wright and Sterling K. Brown in American Fiction.
What a movie.
Oh my God, those performances are fucking incredible.
They are outstanding.
Same thing, Greta Lee for Past Lives. I have to throw it out. Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling in Barbie.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I had
a lot of fun with
they're incredible.
A lot of fun with their performances.
Charles Melton in May December.
Someone more jestfully got upset at me for saying that Ryan Gosling steals the show in Barbie. But I'm like, it's true. He's a scene stealer.
Oh, he's a scene stealer.
Barbie is Margot Robbie is the heart of that movie.
Ryan Gosling is a scene stealer because he gets, I guess, like the showier things. But that movie does not work without Margot Robbie. And the way that she...
I'll just say this. If you read my review, you would have known that.
The way that she, like... just becomes gradually like more human over the film, and it's so subtly done. Like that's why I'm like, I would love to see her get nominated for an Oscar, just because that performance is so much harder than I think people expect.
And remembering as well.
Yeah, like she's like, you got to think she is someone who has initially she doesn't have a thought process.
Yes, yeah.
Like it's really hard to not
think about
of
that
anything and then be
able to think.
Yeah.
Given consciousness, basically, mate.
But but also, so you were Jonathan Majors for Creed 3.
Yeah.
I've seen one of his films that I don't know what's going to happen with this movie.
It may not come out at this point.
It's called Magazine Dreams. It came out at Sundance. If everything that with Jonathan Majors didn't happen, he would be a front runner for the Best Actor Oscar.
Yeah, right.
And watching this film, looking back
Throw
at
it all away.
That performance is very tied to his personality.
Right, yeah.
So it makes it like super...
off-screen issues.
Makes it super uncomfortable to look back and just go, oh...
This wasn't a stretch for you.
My God, his performance in that was...
That's the difference, is that it's in a movie, so there's firstly a bit of a disconnect, but it's you at face value take it as a performance.
Yeah.
Then all this out of the fucking movie.
But I was like, again, I'm not supporting what he's done.
Oh shit, no.
But I was like, but that doesn't take away from the fact that he gave a fucking incredible performance.
Yeah, well, I feel the same about Creed 3. It's a very troubled individual performance, but it was great.
This year's had
unreal,
some
man.
really incredible performance. And you know what?
We got to pick one, though.
And it's funny how so movies because I was thinking about this, movies that get released in January that we don't see before the end of the year don't make our 2022 list.
No.
And then because they're not 2023 releases, they often don't make 2023
Babylon was
releases.
that case to me.
Babylon
Babylon
but I was
would
like,
have been
Babylon
in my
would have
top
been
movies.
would have been close to the top spot.
Yeah.
And
not to toot our own horn, we have international reach, both not just with the podcast, but with NovaStream, with AU, with our
the US,
stuff.
The US and the UK are like the two
massive markets,
massive markets
for both of us. So it's kind of like I'm not going to put Babylon in my favorite films of 2023.
Yeah, Babylon gets lost.
It gets lost.
But I want to say, Babylon, fucking incredible movie. In a few years' time, everyone is going to look at that movie as some fucking masterpiece, and everyone will be like,
misunderstood.
Why did no one tell us? We all fucking told you.
I told you, you just didn't listen.
And Margot Robbie in Babylon.
Yeah, she's brilliant. Diego Calva's great. God. Yeah, Brad Pitt's brilliant. Like that's such an ensemble movie.
Yeah.
Just to pick one, though. And I like recency bias tells me Harris Dickinson in The Iron Claw. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm pining for Andrew Scott to get a nomination. I think Emma Stone will win for Best Actress. But the one that's really, really stuck with me, you know what? And it's going to be a bit left field based on the list, but I do think Paul Giamatti is brilliant in The Holdovers. Comedically, there's a sincerity to his performance, but it's the closing scene of The Holdovers that I think sold it for me.
Yeah.
And I think he's great in it. But I couldn't distinguish that from the others that I've listed. Like that's just me picking one right now. Yeah. That may change tomorrow.
Yeah. It's really difficult to pick. Look, the fact that as soon as I saw the film, I was like in love with everything she did, and I want her to win the Oscar. Emma Stone for Poor Things is just...
That's fair.
But that's just, again, there are so many performances.
Yeah.
But I'm just going with the fact that is a difficult performance.
That's a difficult performance. It's a vulnerable performance.
And she's so, like, she's just so effortless in everything she does. Yeah.
She's absolutely made it her own. Yeah. So there we go. All right, let's go into films now for 2023. What was the biggest surprise of the year for you? What was the movie that you went in going like, and walked out going, which is an actual way to describe.
Biggest surprise. So we did an interview for it. And And
you're gonna have to be more specific, Pete.
we did an interview for it, and it was like kind of like I don't really know what to expect from this because it also I don't know at that point if it had been screened in the States or not.
Yeah.
But it ended up being just a charming, really delightful little comedy. Champions.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I've got a little short list here as well.
Yeah.
That surprised the hell out of me because I think we were just expecting like Peter Farrelly movie, Woody Harrelson lead, fine.
We spoke to Ernie Hudson
for the film,
he's such a gent.
Amazing,
such a good guy.
But then also you have the concern going into it is that it's a comedy film that features
kids with like Down syndrome,
mental disabilities, right? So there's always a concern. You kind of go like, fuck.
Because you're also like Peter Farrelly. Like, yes, Peter Farrelly has like did he do Green Book?
He did do Green Book.
So Green Book also a lot of people took issue with that. But also Peter Farrelly, we're looking at Something About Mary.
Yep.
Kingpin.
Yeah.
Movies
43, that aren't afraid to make fun of
so
things.
There is that risk of like, oh shit, are we about to sit through like 90 minutes of you just ripping on people with disabilities?
And that was not the case at all.
It wasn't the case at all.
It was funny.
Oh my God.
Funny.
Some of the lines that these kids come out with
that they spit at fucking Woody Harrelson.
Oh, what's the is it like the something about the erection? Is it the erection line or something?
Oh yeah, there's jokes about it.
I really want to rewatch
I do want to rewatch it. But it's super heartfelt.
It's so
super
sweet.
heartfelt,
It's so sweet.
And yeah, that was one that's on my short list of biggest surprises.
Yeah. And Caitlin Olsen,
underrated man.
as so she's like Woody Harrelson's like kind of love interest,
Like
but
friend with benefits
but she's
for
like the older sister of one of the kids, and she's just like spit firing back at him. It's so good. She's so good. And then I can see it on your list, and it would be on mine as well.
Yes.
Because I was super excited for it. Going back to Grindhouse.
Yes, very much so.
And the trailer that they made for Grindhouse is incredible.
Yeah.
And I thought,
but how do you stretch that
out?
film?
And then I saw the trailer and was like, I'm gonna be in for it because I love horror.
Yep.
And I love the fact that this was like going for like R-rated gory horror.
Going for it.
But also it looked much different. It wasn't going for like the grainy kind of Grindhouse feel.
The Grindhouse aesthetic, right?
And I was that was part of that appeal.
That appeal in the trailer,
and also like Eli Roth has
I would say
wavering quality as a director.
Wavering quality that definitely skews too bad.
Yes.
But when he hits well.
And he
loves horror.
And he fucking hit with Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving was a lot of fun.
Like
so much more fun than I expected.
Yeah, I was like, so Nick couldn't come to the screening, and I remember being just like,
I was very upset.
And I was like it's
I didn't get to see it until like a week later.
And I was like, man, this opening scene.
The Black Friday sale massacre is fucking gold. I would love to see a whole movie of that.
Just say people get scalped by like
because he's doing Thanksgiving too.
He is.
Is that just Black Friday then? Do you just do a Black Friday massacre movie?
I still want Thanksgiving 2's tagline to be "You ain't seen stuffing yet." I mean, you didn't give me fasten your seatbelt, so you might as well give me this. But it was Thanksgiving was just like it reminded me of like I Know What You Did Last Summer, like those late 90s, early 2000s horrors where it was like just kind of ridiculous, but it leaned into it, and it's so violent, so beautifully violent, which is what you want horror movies to be.
There's some great fucking kills in that movie.
Yeah. So those two are really
Champions
really,
and Thanksgiving. They're on my short list.
Yeah, I mean, I can see like all of those. Yeah.
The other one on my short list that I won't pick as my thing was Magic Mike's Last Dance.
Yes. Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, and I did not go in at all expecting to like it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's such a sexy movie.
Sexy movie, but it was also, I think, the most heartfelt of the trilogy.
Oh, and like Channing Tatum and Salma Hayek's chemistry is
so good together. And the finale is really great.
Yeah.
Their dance is like, whoa. But I think as well, like the actual choreography, like the putting on like a stage play, basically, I was actually quite enamored by that. So that was good. Which takes me to my biggest surprise of the year.
Yeah.
You were excited to see this.
I was excited to see it.
You liked the trailer.
I liked the trailer. I love the lead actress.
And I was going into it like, sure.
Admittedly, it was funnier than I was expecting, but I was still very much like, I'm fucking
It wasn't
here for
surprising to you that you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I walked into this film, I was going, yeah, sure, it'll be fine. Yeah. And I was tired. I remember being tired. I was not in the mood. I was just like, I'm never going to fucking laugh again.
Yeah. That was one of those ones where I'm like, I'm glad I've got wings for this one.
And then the next day, I got a text from our beloved rep for the studio to say,
shout out to Karen.
Shout out to Karen. Hey, Sony would like to use your quote for this film. And that was no hard feelings.
Yeah.
Great. I'm not even calling it a rom-com. It's just a great comedy.
It's a great comedy.
It's a fantastic, raunchy, R-rated comedy that Jennifer Lawrence is so good in.
Andrew Garth. Andrew Barth Feldman.
Barth is so fucking
He's so good. Him reacting to the pool is just the best. Like when he's
that's great. Obviously, the naked beach fight is fucking hilarious.
Like, the fact that someone was like, it has an Eastern Promises, and I was like, oh my God.
Right. But also, great use of cunt in that scene as well.
Yes.
Hey, you cunts.
But like, Jennifer Lawrence naked, body slamming
when she
someone.
suplexes that person,
and then the fact that she just like, and then I love the cut when she just swims and she's like, just swims back in the water, and he's just like, and he's like, did you just like assault people? Oh my God,
but
it's so good.
They're perfect together. The movie is really funny. It's very endearing. The man-eater piano scene is really, really touching. And that it surprised the hell out of me so much so that we both got pull quoted.
We both got pull quoted for it
on their national marketing.
And can we just say, Sony 2 for 2 with your fucking raunchy comedy?
And anyone but you. Bring it back to early 2000s comedy.
I briefly want to talk about just comedy movies.
Yeah.
Bottoms
was fantastic. I had so much fun. It is wild.
It is wild.
What a wild film.
Yeah.
Look, Pete, we got to be negative for a second.
We don't want to be.
But we're going to have to be. What was the most disappointing film? The film that you kind of had some expectations, but it was just... It just fell short.
I admittedly had expectations for Ant-Man and Quantumania.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp were both great comic book movies. I really love both of them.
Yep.
And the whole thing was that it's phase 5.
Yeah. It's kicking off the new phase. The real post-Endgame
The real post-Endgame. Yeah. And you know what? I was in Sydney, Paul Rudd, Jonathan Majors. Again, I spoke to Jonathan Majors. He was really... he was really nice, but
yeah, it's just like that's the point, right? Like that's where we get.
But I was like, you know what? I'm here. And they showed us like 15 minutes of it, and I was like, you know what? I'm here for this 15 minutes. They really showed like, and I thought, okay, clearly this has been like, like chopped together, edited down. But I was like, but I'm really excited for it. I was like, I could already tell that Michelle Pfeiffer was going to be like utilized well.
Yep.
I was like, you know what? I'm excited.
And then the movie came
And then I saw the movie and realized, the first 15 minutes wasn't edited down. This is just how it's quite shot. Like, it's quite
very choppy, yeah.
And I was like, all right. Then when they went into like the quantum realm, and it was like really focusing on Michelle Pfeiffer and Jonathan Majors and like everything, and I was like, okay,
yeah,
I don't mind this. Yes, there's a lot of CGI in the background or everything, but you know what? I'm still getting it. And then it kind of just went completely off the fucking rails.
It very much
MODOK is just something that should not have been done. Catherine Newton, I love Catherine Newton, but she was not saddled with good dialogue.
No, unfortunately
when she had to like give like a one-liner, and it was just really bad.
Yeah, and that's not her fault because Catherine Newton is good in other stuff, but she was definitely not good here.
It was just a big.
Well, the role was.
It was just a big CGI mess, and it just didn't get any better, and it made me just kind of go, "All right, Marvel, what have you got?" So
not much.
So, I mean, they did well. I mean, Guardians kind of brought it back, but
still,
yeah. So that was a big disappointment.
I got two. The one that I'm not going to pick is Napoleon. There was actually some expectation for me going into Napoleon. I was like,
I had like zero expectations.
But I like most Ridley Scott movies. You know what I mean? Like, I know he has some fucking real misfires of shit like The Counselor.
Maybe
All the Money in the World.
We disagree on because I really like The Counselor.
Yeah, I think it was shit.
Okay.
I don't think
Richard, there's your answer.
There's your answer. I hope you stuck around for it. Yeah, I don't think The Counselor's good at all.
Have you seen like the?
I've seen the extended cut.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen both versions.
Okay, cool.
Not a fan. I can't. Sorry.
No, that's hey,
that's my opinion, man. Stop fucking hating on me, bro.
All right, cunt, ease up.
All right, mate. I'll fucking know the counselor. But there was some expectation, and because I was like, oh, Ridley Scott can't fuck up epic battle scenes. Turns out he kind of can.
He kind of can. Yeah.
Especially when you just make the same scene 5 times, but neither here nor there. I'm not a director. I don't know what I'm talking about. The one that did disappoint me because I had expectation going into it. I thought it was going to be a lot of fun. The premise is absolutely fucking wild. It's like a 90-minute movie. I was like, there's no way you can fuck this up. But I did walk out disappointed with the Cocaine Bear.
Oh, okay.
I know we've spoken about this. I know you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it.
But I remember when I walked out the screen, I was like, nah. Yeah, okay. I was like, every moment with the Cocaine Bear was great. But then I think I put it in my Letterboxd review, which weirdly went viral this year. My Letterboxd.
I was the same. Cocaine Bear. I think because we were the first people to see it, and so when the embargo was like, you can release stuff. Like my Cocaine Bear reviews and interviews were like
when gangbusters. Yeah, they're actually some of the highest performing ones on NovaStream this year.
Yeah.
I said in my thing, I was like, the actual Cocaine Bear stuff makes up probably like less than 40% of the movie, and the rest of it is really badly written, annoying characters. And I also think the ending of Cocaine Bear was fucking trash. When it's like in the cliff face, and then it becomes about like
the family protecting
the family from
that didn't feel entirely earned a little bit.
No, so I was disappointed with Cocaine.
Yeah, okay, okay. I was just briefly. It's a 2024 release here, but I'll just briefly because we've seen it, and it's 2023 release in everywhere else in the world. That's right. So it's another one that it disappointed. Ferrari.
Yeah, Ferrari was disappointing.
That disappointed me.
That was
I was like,
that's boring.
This is boring. And you can't save it with one car accident scene and then you ruined it with CGI.
Yeah, I didn't think that scene that people are talking about was that impactful, to be honest. So.
So that's really disappointing.
Yeah,
hey,
Ferrari was
go see it. Go see it January 4th. Make up your own mind.
Yeah, don't just listen to us, but also thank you for.
But also just listen to us.
All right, let's start. Let's bring it back to favorites. We got 4 more for our favorites. What was your favorite opening scene of a film?
Opening scene. All right, so. There's a few that have immediately just come to mind.
Yeah.
Because I even though you gave me the questions, I actually wanted to be quite like off the cuff. Yeah.
It's the flavor of the minute.
So favorite opening scene. So one of them mainly just because I had no fucking idea what was going to happen. Talk to Me.
Talk to Me's mine.
I was like,
that is my favorite opening scene.
And the fact that it's just like, oh, you've just like stabbed yourself in the face.
Great way to just shock you.
To really be like, you have no idea what's coming.
Yeah, it really preps you. It preps you for intensity.
Yeah.
But it's a really great opening scene where it gives you, it lets you ask enough questions to be like, what the fuck is going on?
And it answers all.
And then it goes, hey, in 90 minutes, you'll find out most of this. So the opening scene Talks to Me. It's a one shot take in a massive party that leads to a stabbing and a suicide, which is fucking hectic. Yeah. Like it's pretty well done.
Yeah. So that's a favorite.
And as the Philippou brothers said, they just wanted to show off a banging Aussie house party.
Yeah.
Fair. Bless them.
Also, I mean, I love the opening of Barbie.
Yep, that's
like
the
we get
2001
Space Odyssey, and then the fact that it just does Helen Mirren's voiceover, and then it's got the Lizzo song that's like reacting to everything.
It's a strong start, like really a strong 10 minutes of Barbie. Yeah.
And then I mean, it's probably very typical of me to say, but Scream 6. Because it did something different, you know.
Subverted the expectation, right?
We got also Samara Weaving is so good in the opening of Scream 6.
I love Samara Weaving.
Like using her Australian accent, really sweet, really kind of funny character that you're almost like, I kind of wanted you to be in this more. But we get her killed off within like
5 minutes,
4 to 6 minutes, and then a Ghostface reveals themselves, and you're like, what the actual fuck's going on? And then that Ghostface is killed by another Ghostface who's completely separate from it. And I was like, that is cool.
That's cool
giving me something that I'm like, you know what? We're 27 years in, and you're giving me something that I'm excited
do something fun.
So
would you say that's your scene? That's your number one? Scream 7? 6?
Scream 6. I mean, just because the Scream series means so much to me, and I would like to surprise me who like fucking dissects everything. I was like,
You're into the
I was
shit.
like, hats off. Samara Weaving, great fucking scream.
Yes.
She has like
a
blood curdling scream.
Blood curdling scream.
Yeah, and then
What about your favorite closing scene?
Closing scene.
I have to go to my notes.
Closing scene.
Okay, yeah.
Fuck.
I've got another short list. The holdovers I thought was a very epic scene.
Holdovers was really great.
I think the final montage, sweeping epic music of Oppenheimer, as we sort of see, we as the audience see the repercussions of the creation of the nuclear bomb.
Yes.
Or the atom bomb.
Yeah,
and then he kind of thinks like, what have I done?
What have I done?
Sort of thing. Like it's a very harrowing ending.
My
to
God,
the film.
the legal scenes that make up the last half of Oppenheimer are so fucking good.
So well written.
Like it's almost you almost think, oh, it's just the movie. I was like, it's all the stuff after the bomb that's so much more interesting.
It's so much, yeah.
To realize what, like he created something thinking he was going to stop war and just created war even further. Like it's so good.
I love the ending of Talk to Me, another one-shot take, which has a very bleak ending.
Yeah.
But the one that I'm going to pick is one that actually it didn't work for me initially, and then it did click when I was in the cinema, and then upon reflection, it's like, okay, that is a very bold way to end your film, and that's Killers of the Flower Moon.
Okay.
The ending of Killers of the Flower Moon is kind of great because it's
like the Scorsese.
It's not necessarily like the film ends and then this, I guess you could call it like an epilogue, but it's also an interesting commentary and deconstruction on white people retelling Indigenous people's stories.
Yeah.
And in a very in-your-face way, Martin Scorsese relaying that guilt he feels about it by cameoing as himself, reading about about the death of the main character. I can't remember her name, but whoever Lily Gladstone plays, talking, and then just so matter of fact in the sense of like, she died a few days, like when that's it. Like it's actually how I got goosebumps thinking about it. It's quite harrowing. So, but I think that like, it's just a great, and it didn't work for me initially.
Yeah.
Like when he popped up, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right. And then I was sitting with me a bit and I was just like, oh, okay. I was like, you obviously, like you wanted to tell this story, but you are even battling with the fact whether were you the right person to tell this story.
Yeah, because you're the whitest of whites.
Yeah, and I think it's incredibly self-aware, and I think it, to the film's point, kind of goes like, because on the press trail for the film as well, anyone who was Indigenous American talking about the film, whether they were a consultant or whether it was stars, were like, yeah, maybe Martin Scorsese isn't the right person to tell this story, but there's no one else who is on the level that he is in that is going to be able to tell the story on this scale.
Yeah, and get the film
to get
the word out
there. Yeah. So it's an interesting dichotomy there. But I think that for me, like, even though I didn't love the film as much as other people did, like I thought it was really well made. Would have worked better as a miniseries.
I think so.
I think you add more into it and make it a miniseries, then it would be great. That ending, I think the impact it had on me was the reason. So what about yourself? Closing
great. I'll just follow that.
Why don't you?
Favorite closing scene. So I mean, I'll briefly just say I love the closing line of Barbie when she's going when she's going to her
is it vaginoplasty?
No, she's going to her gynecologist.
Gynecologist, yeah.
I think that's just fucking great.
What does she say though?
She
says something.
No, so she goes in and she's like, they say, but like, Barb,
I'm here to get my vagina or something.
No, she's like, I'm here to see my gynecologist.
Okay, sorry. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
because then I guess you realize that her vagina has been created
now. Yeah.
I think mainly because again, the way that this film, the way that this film affected me, and just even though it's so devastating, but there's like this really odd beauty to it because in my mind, it's kind of like he will get to see this person whenever he wants. The ending of All of Us Strangers.
Oh, yeah. Fuck. Yeah,
so the ending of All of Us Strangers is fucking heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. And it goes from heartbreak to heartbreak.
Yeah. So like obviously we get the fact that Andrew Scott is visiting his parents in this sort of otherworldly.
Yeah,
you know, whether it's in his
mind or whether they're
or
ghosts or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you don't.
But he meets his parents as an adult man, and they're very aware that they're talking to him. They find out all about his life, the fact that he's gay, how that has been,
and how it's been in more of a modern setting compared to when they died.
When they died, thinking like, oh, you're accepted, you're happy, all that sort of stuff, and the fact that the dad was like. I heard you crying and I just didn't want to deal with it. Like, all that. So, like it's
heartbreaking shit.
But you know, he meets Paul Mescal, and really they only have one scene where they're both alive together.
Yeah,
and then for
spoilers, I guess for all those strangers.
You know what? I don't fucking care. Spoilers. Like, turn this off if you know. But anyway, I'm just saying the ending of. All of the Strangers, which is really, really devastating because of what Andrew Scott has gone through. But yeah, I like to think that even though he doesn't have him, he has him in this other world that he can visit him in and still be there with. But it's really fucking sad.
It is sad.
But it stayed with me, I think, just because of I can relate to someone losing their dad and someone being gay and not having that conversation. And I'm also like, I'm very aware that my dad would have accepted me.
Yeah,
like
totally,
that's not where I'm coming from. But you just think about all of the conversations that you never have. He'll never see me achieve things. He'll never get to meet people in my life.
Yeah.
And that's what really triggered me while watching it.
Yeah.
But the ending is just this really beautiful shot. But there's just so much.
There's so much heartbreak.
There's so much heartbreak behind it.
Thing, like,
but it's one that it stayed.
It's a beautiful movie.
It's so fucking
God,
beautiful.
it's a tough movie to watch though.
Yeah.
It's been a year for fucking hard movies to watch.
Yeah.
Let's bring the mood back up. Outside of opening and closing, do you have a favorite scene throughout the year? Like John Wick 4, the Hotline Miami scene is up there. The other one that I think, because I already said that, would probably like give it a run for its money is the Trinity test scene in Oppenheimer. Just the tension of going to push the button, the build up to it, the tension of going to push the button.
Also how there's a small percentage that this might not work.
It was like, what's the chance of blowing up the world? It's like, it's near zero.
Near zero. And they're like, near zero. Yeah.
Like we could blow up the entire world right now. Yeah. And then obviously it happens. And the silence. Is fantastic. And then the shockwave. It's brilliant. Like, it's such a well-constructed scene. So the Trinity test scene, like, that and the John Wick 4, a lot of John Wick 4. It's just awesome scenes.
Favorite scenes. Look, I'm Just Ken is...
it's iconic.
Like, I want Greta Gerwig to direct a full-blown musical because the way that this is shot... Yeah. Brings
like
back to mind like these the old school like Hollywood musicals where it's just this open sound stage. And like Ryan Gosling he's just leaning so far into it.
And he's perfect at it. He's so good
and his voice is really great. Have you seen they've released a 4-track EP?
We watched the
it's so like oh wow, you've turned this into like a
proper song. Money Cow, please.
So I think I'm Just Ken is like
milk it.
It's that scene is
so good.
And then another, and then again, like it's gonna lean back to Scream 6 because, but like the whole scene, well, I mean the subway scene is really fucking tense.
Yeah,
because you don't know.
Initially, my thought went to like, when the fuck do they get Subway? I think I'm just hungry.
Yeah. So initially, you're like,
Subway.
I don't know who's gonna die. I don't know where Ghostface is.
Yeah.
But then the whole sequence, in the apartment,
the ladder
scene.
Yes.
The ladder scene is so well done, and you're like, I know, and like the fact that. Like it starts off with like, someone dying, then they're all like separated, then you've got to go to the ladder scene, and then the last person on the ladder. And Ghostface is like shaking it, and you're just like,
that fucking got me. That ladder scene is brilliant.
And then that person,
yeah,
like it's that whole sequence is
it's so well done.
And it's like a lot of people were complaining the fact that Scream 5 felt like it didn't have big set pieces and chase scenes, and Scream 6 was like, all right, fine,
fuck you, we've got it.
So that scene, I think that whole sequence is just like so well done, and you just don't know that whole scene. You're like, I don't know who's going to die here.
No, not at all. That's kind of great. Like it works really
but
well.
I think just the intensity of like the ladder, and you're like, oh, this isn't going to end well. That's a great scene.
Oh man,
yeah, good fun.
Well, we've spoken about favorite elements of movies, so it's time to wrap up with the big question.
Favorite film.
The one that's on everyone's lips. What is our favorite movie of 2023?
I mean, it's The Pope's Exorcist. No way.
Mine was Mafia Mama, actually, now I'm thinking about it. So I loved Mafia Mama. I haven't talked about it a lot in my favorite scenes.
Yeah, best. Yeah, we didn't talk about those movies because all of it is our favorite thing.
The best.
Pope's Exorcist, Mafia Mama.
65. Remember that came out this year?
Christ.
Remember that came out? Yeah.
That did come out.
I didn't even see that in the cinemas. I saw that on fucking demand.
I saw it in the cinemas.
Yes.
I did a double that day. I saw Scream 6 for the second time, and I saw 65.
So you did okay. You did okay.
I was like, as bad as 65 is, Scream 6 will get me there.
So I'm gonna guess that it's either All of Us Strangers or Scream 6 for you. I actually don't know which one, but I think one of those is your favorite movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have Poor Things is fucking incredible.
Oh yeah, true.
Poor Things is incredible.
Yeah.
Talk to Me was up there.
Yeah.
Air.
Yeah, I loved Air. Air was so good.
Air.
Best soundtrack of the year. Air.
But like Bird Eater.
Yeah.
Barbie. This year had great bangers like Scream. Like I love Scream 6, but I'm also I'm not making it like the top film of the year because I'm aware. But like Holdovers was great. American Fiction was great.
So fucking good. Iron Claw's brilliant.
Iron Claw's brilliant. There's a lot, but just because of the emotional connection.
Okay. Yeah.
All of Us Strangers.
Yeah. Which is fair.
And it's such a it's
very.
And
good.
you know what? Even if I didn't have that connection to it,
you would still be.
It would. I
was very emotionally affected by it.
It's fucking beautiful.
It's a beautiful movie. And like I said, I really want Andrew Scott to at least get an Oscar nomination.
Yeah. And also, if you're on YouTube, watch Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal doing press together.
Oh, they love each other.
Oh my god,
they love each other.
Oh,
they love each other.
They're so cute together.
There we go. Okay, All of Us Strangers.
Yeah, it was a lot of. I was battling because I was looking at everything, going, "Fuck, this year's great movies this year."
It's funny because like the volume we've seen, I do feel like the majority of them were okay, but when they've hit hard.
Yeah.
So like the general quality of film has been fucking great.
Yeah.
My favorite film of the year has been in the number one spot since I saw it in January.
Yeah. You're welcome, by the way.
I was lucky enough to see it due to someone's Sundance credentials.
Yeah.
They'll remain nameless just in case that gets them in trouble.
Yeah.
But let's just say they'll be showing me more Sundance stuff next year too. But there was like, I didn't know what to expect going into this film. It's an Australian film. It's a horror film. It's, there wasn't like loads of massive. We saw it before the hype. We saw it before it was sold to A24.
Yeah.
We saw it before it premiered in person at Sundance.
Yeah.
So this was before Talk to Me
became
the hit it was.
And everyone being like, oh, have you seen this Talk to Me movie? I'm like, yeah, like 7 months ago, mate.
I turned to you and Josh, who we were watching with, and I was like, that's my favorite movie of the year so far.
Yeah.
Sure, it was
like
January.
three weeks into January.
But it's remained number one. Like nothing has.
Yeah.
There's been movies I loved. I gave 5 stars to John Wick 4, to Oppenheimer, to Bird Eater, to Air. Like there are movies that I've loved this year, but nothing has come close to how much I loved to Talk to Me.
Yeah.
To the point where I was so lucky we did interviews with Danny and Michael Philippou, who were fantastic.
So good.
That we got to see it again in cinemas, thanks to the great team at Nixco.
Yes, thank you for giving a screening.
So much to the point that I bought the collector's edition that I have the fucking hand, which isn't here right now, that I've had the guy who created the concept for Talk to Me, Chris Alosio, has signed it.
Who's become our really good mate, which is really cool.
He's such a nice guy. Like Chris is such an awesome guy who plays Joss in the film. I love this film. I think it is a fun original concept.
Yeah.
Possession's not the original concept, but the vessel of which it happens and the ramifications of it. To make possession like a party drug is fucking cool.
Yeah.
But it's this really interesting story about dealing with grief and the question of it can almost relate into an All of Us Strangers way. If you had the opportunity talk to a deceased relative again,
would you?
What would you do?
Yeah.
To get that, you know what I mean? And this is definitely told in a far more fucked up way.
I think, obviously, if I had the chance to talk to someone who's passed away, and it's either going to be all of us strangers, or talk to me, I'd be like, I think I'm going to take All of Us Strangers. All of Us Strangers would like emotionally wreck me, but I was like, but I'm not going to potentially die.
But also, like, they made Possession look fun. That the montage is one of the most exciting things.
Would you do it?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just intrigue.
Yeah,
but,
okay.
Like, I think that's easy for me to say now because I'm not a spiritual person. Like, I don't believe in spirits or anything like that. But if it happened and I was like... But I like the way that it's presented to her in the film as well. She's mildly skeptical and being like, yeah, okay, it's not real. No, sorry, her friend is like, it's not real. But she's like, oh, I'll give it a go. And then, like, how it's slowly introduced and makes it so believable for everyone. Because it's great because no one else can see it around you.
Yeah.
So it's not until you do it. So I'm like, curiosity would get the better of me.
Have you rewatched it since you've
I've seen it 3 times.
Yeah, okay.
About to watch it for a 4th because Rhiannon's dad hasn't seen it. Right. And I'm taking it up to watch. I will probably end up watching it about 5 times for the end of the year. It's absolutely my favorite film of the year. So Talk to Me is so fucking good. Australian made horror. What a year for genre filmmaking in Australia. Right? Yeah. Royal Hotel, this, Talk to Me, Bird Eater. Late Night with the Devil.
Oh, Late Night with the Devil.
Great fucking movie. So it's been a banger year. Yeah. But not just a banger year in film, Peter Gray, but a banger year for us. For the monthly movie marathon, but also for us as professional journalists. Yeah. Professional amateurs. But this has been such a fun year. Like, this has been it's absolutely been a booming year for you. I'm not sure. I mean, you've done a lot of stuff previous.
I've done a lot of, yeah. Like this,
you're getting towards seasons.
Like the opportunities, like the interviews I got this year. I was like,
it's been pretty good.
Wow,
you've been eating well.
And now I'm kind of at that point. I'm like, I'm still humbled by it, but I'm also like, fucking deserve this.
Yeah, you put in the hard yards.
I put in the hard work.
I'm just a kid in a candy shop.
I'm like just. Just be nice to people.
It's not that hard.
It's not hard.
It's not that hard.
It's not hard. And we see a lot of people that we just... we've probably bite our tongue on a lot of stuff.
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, and you know what? In some ways it's good because it's not even worth the energy.
Not worth the energy.
And in other ways it's just to be like, hey,
I mean,
this person will crumble and fall.
I mean, I had a very, very strongly worded email regarding my reaction to Bring Him to Me. And I was this seems...
Note to filmmakers, don't reach out and say, can you review this only if it's positive? Don't do that. Yeah. I'm not saying that's directly related to Bring Him to Me, but it could be.
But yeah, someone was not appreciative of the fact that I
was critical
looked at the movie as being masculine, and they thought I was relating that to being like... Toxic. And I was like, no, I'm saying it's just a very...
because you would have done this thing where you put the word toxic before it.
I was just saying it's a movie that I feel like men will respond to more because it's just a very gruff action movie.
Wrong industry to be in if you don't want people to be critical of your
stuff.
Sorry.
It was a very bizarre email and I was like, this is weird.
Don't contact reviewers directly.
Yeah, you've completely... missed, like, read my review. And
do you know the best way to get it critics is just don't invite them to review your shit.
Yeah.
Don't give us strongly worded emails.
Though I will say I've had a lot of directors email me asking me to review their films and they have all been like, I've reviewed them.
That's true.
I've reviewed them, and I'm like, I will give you my honest opinion, and they're all very appreciative. And
I think it's exceptions to rules.
Yeah.
Normally,
one of them. I'm going to give him one of them. Jeff Ryan, who is an American filmmaker who made this mockumentary. Oh my god, I've completely forgotten the title of it. That's really bad of me.
That's all right. We've watched a lot of shit this year.
He's made 2 films. One of them was a mockumentary. One of them was called Mean Spirited, and it was like this horror comedy. He is a fucking awesome guy. I want just the absolute best things for him because he is a fucking incredible filmmaker, and he's a good guy. Like he was so blown away by my review, and then he gave me like his second film, and he was like, he's like, I want you to be honest. Like, I don't expect you to, just because we're friends. And I was like, oh, we're friends. He was like, I don't expect you to give me the good. He's like, I want you to be, he's like, I want to learn from, you know. But like, thankfully, both of his films have been really great. And he's like hoping that his third film will go to Toronto, because he's like, I want to meet you in person. I was like, I want to meet you in person too. I want to have a drink with you, because he's really fucking cool. And he's like just a really good guy. And he's got like, he's a wife. He's a husband and a dad, and he's just a really good guy.
Nice.
And all of that from the fact that he saw my stuff and was like, please review my movie. Yeah. And I was like, Youth Min.
That's fine.
Youth Min, a mockumentary.
And that's fine. Like that's the appropriate way to
like do it. Filmmakers more than welcome to reach out.
I should say you don't react to our reviews,
but also don't expect positives across the board.
No,
and if we give you a positive review, it's because we genuinely like the film. And if we give you a negative review, it's not because we're looking at you personally. We're just saying this just didn't.
And then don't act confused why no one rocks up to your premiere. Anyway, thank you to everyone who watches the show, who listens to the show,
thank you,
reads our shit. Like, it really means a lot to us.
It really does.
Put in a lot of work. The fact that we do this podcast on top of everything we do is a big ask. Like, it's a lot of work to do.
The ask is only going to get bigger.
And it's only going to get bigger. So thank you for all your support this year. We're excited because 2024 is going literally to get bigger and better in very many facets. Do you want to reveal to the audience as to why that is, Peter Gray?
Because we don't do enough. I thought, hey.
I sleep too much. I sleep like 6 hours a night. I need to get rid of some of those hours.
I was like, hey, I kind of want to do a podcast. So.
Like your own creation.
My own creation. Yeah. So I'm like, hey.
I'll make you do one.
So I'm like, hey, Nick.
Oh, I'm here. Hello.
Let's do another podcast. And this one. I'm really fucking excited about
I think it's a very cool idea.
So obviously there's this thing called Rotten Tomatoes. Don't know if you've heard of it. I created it. Where obviously all critics put their reviews together, and you have films that if they're dog shit, they're 0%. And if everybody agrees that it's good, it's 100%. And then there's all the numbers in between. So I thought, hey, why don't we take a film from each number and watch that film and look back at it and be like, hey, does it deserve its reception? So starting in January and hopefully continuing for what we realize will be like 2 years because we're watching a film each week. And each number will be each week. And it's called 0 to 100.
Hell yeah.
Where we will be watching one film of each Rotten Tomatoes score, starting with 0%, ending with 100.
Yes.
For 0%, it is statistically the worst reviewed film ever made.
Which is exciting.
Which is exciting because neither of us have seen it. And then 1% is also going to be a good time.
Yes, 1% is going to be a good time.
Yeah. So that will be starting in January. It'll be on, it'll be both on our socials, but this will be sort of like under my umbrella.
This is the Peter Gray umbrella, the Rotten Certified Tomato Critic Certification umbrella.
Which is how it'll be under in Spotify.
Yes, exactly. If you didn't write that down, you're shit out of luck.
And if you did, tell me because I didn't get it.
Because I forgot it.
But yeah, so that'll be starting in January with 0%, which will be...
Good. We can say a good time, but we don't.
It might be fucking awful, which would make sense because it's 0%.
But it'll also make for great content.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun watch because of how god awful it is.
And how we're going into the film, like the
and then there'll be like a few sort of a few category questions for each episode about certain things. So that'll be starting 0 to 100, coming to you in January
2024.
Yeah.
Also coming to you in January 2024 will be the first episode of the new season of Monthly Movie Marathon.
Yeah.
Which shall be coming out in the first week of January, where we are going to be watching quintessential high school chick flicks.
Yeah.
So to say. Yeah. Because Mean Girls is getting a revamp in musical formation.
And if you don't know it's a musical, you do now.
You do now. The trailers have not said that it's absolutely a musical.
It's the filmed version of the musical of the Broadway show that was adapted from the original film, which itself was adapted from a book.
A non-fiction book.
A non-fiction book.
Which is crazy.
So, hey, that's some Inception for you.
But the new Mean Girls is a musical. So we're going back and we've gone through the decades, so to say. So from the 2010s, from the 2000s, and from the 90s. So we're watching the quintessential high school chick flick, which is Clueless.
Which this guy hasn't seen. So I'm so excited to see how you react to it.
It'd be interesting.
Like watching it now.
Like 30 years later, right? Yeah. So, and then of course for the 2000s, for the noughties, we're watching Mean Girls, the 2004 film.
Obviously.
And then, well, for 2010s, the best high school film that came out in the 2010s, Booksmart. So we've got 3 films coming for the monthly movie marathon in January. Watch them over the Christmas break. You can keep up and play with us at home.
We will be.
We will. Yeah, we absolutely will be. Yeah. We didn't think there's no time off. There's no time off from this industry, really, but we love what we're doing. We love it. Yeah. Thank you all again for your support. We love you all very much. So this is coming on Boxing Day. So Merry Christmas has already come and gone.
Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas.
I hope you all got the presents you wanted.
Yeah.
Have a safe new year. And we'll see you in January for 2 new podcasts.
Yes.
Hitting to your feeds. How exciting.
So exciting. So exciting.
For one more time, I guess, in 2023, we've got to say bye.